Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with me, your host. My name is Chad Medved. This is my show. Appreciate Ian's being here this week. Each and every week, I sit down with an interesting guest and I talk to them about what they do and how they got to that point in their lives. The past handful of weeks, we've had great guests to sit down with. Last week, we sit down with Jeff Betton, who runs a vinyl record pressing plant right here in Lawrenceville. We sat down with Michael Potosny the week before, who is spearheading a cause to open a new BMX bike park in the city of Pittsburgh. Before that, we sat down with Carson Street Deli. So many people we sit down with each week. And the goal of I'll Call You Right Back podcast is to spotlight and highlight the great people in the city of Pittsburgh and what they're doing and basically how they're doing it. You know, I want to create a bridge between the customer and, you know, the person behind the business that we all love and support. You know, obviously we sit down with the big names like the Rick Seabacks and the Sally Wiggins and the Edgar Snyders, but we also sit down with, you know, the small mom and pop shops, the bakers, the one-woman shows, the Dagneys from Carnegie's, you know, the Yolis, Cucinas from Jefferson Hills. We sit down with these people and we really learn how the sausage is made, no pun intended. But I appreciate everyone each and every week who comes back and listens to the podcast and gives it a shot. We are making a spearhead ourselves to create a video platform for I'll Call You Right Back. And if you are on YouTube right now, watching right now, thank yous for dealing with this ugly mug you're seeing right now. Please remember to like and subscribe this video. It is a huge help for me. Everyone else that's listening, this podcast was an audio podcast first for the last 7 years. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please take a second to rate and review the podcast on whichever streaming platform you are using. But those are the big ways you could help the guys like me. Just share the podcast with your friends, share it with some people that might not know that there is a super cool podcast in Pittsburgh highlighting the people that make the community of Pittsburgh what it is. And that's a thank you in advance from me. We got some important shit to talk about beyond that. I got some events coming up. September 21st, that's a save the date. I will have more information hopefully by the time that this is out. Tickets will be available, but we're taking the Berg bus to a haunted house. That's all I could tell you right now. We're ironing out the rest of the details. We're taking the Berg bus to a haunted house. The other save the date I talked about last week. I said originally it was October 18th for the next one. It is not October 18th. It is Friday, October 11th. And we are taking the Berg bus to Castle Blood, which is my favorite haunted house in the city. Those are two events that are coming up through me. I got some other shit in the works. Please take a second to follow I'll Call You Right Back on Instagram. That is the best way that you could keep up with all the updates on what I got going on. You know what I mean? Beyond that, like I said, thank yous all for being here and taking a second to watch the podcast, listen to the podcast, support the podcast any way yins do. We got a great episode this week. This week we sit down with a ripper. Amico Demuzio is he's been a musician his entire life. He has pictures of him playing guitar. I think he said whenever he was 3 years old. But Amico is currently one of the fabulous players that are in Charles Wesley Godwin's band, the Allegheny High. So a little context. Charles Wesley Godwin, arguably one of the best country artists out right now. One of my absolute favorite. And a year ago, I talked to a guy by the name of Reed Connolly who was playing pedal steel and banjo in Charles Wesley Godwin's band. And Reed has since moved to a different band. He was back and forth with playing in Zach Bryan's band as well. Reed is now playing in Zach Bryan's band, but Amico is the guy who stepped in and is playing pedal steel and banjo and beyond that, much more in the Allegheny High, which is Charles Wesley Godwin's band. Now, Amico is also a local. right up there in Beaver County, right up there by Sal's, up there in Chippewa area. And Amico is just, a guy I met through Instagram. He told me he was a fan of the episode I did with Reed Connolly last year. He's been listening since then. And, I randomly see him just start popping up, and he's posting more, and he's playing these shows with Charles, and absolutely fantastic. And, he's just up there on stage ripping. So I hit him up and I was like, yo, dude, come on down. Like, let's talk about it. And he did just that. So he came down on an early weekend, and he brought an entire pedal steel kit. He brought an amp, he brought his own custom chair, he brought his instrument, and we had ourselves a little tiny desk experience at I'll Call You Right Back podcast after we did the podcast, obviously. But this week I sit down with Amico, and we talk about everything from how his introduction to music happened to his trajectory throughout his adolescent years and through high school, and ultimately how he got started with Charles, which is actually a very, very unique story. So Amico started as Charles Wesley Godwin's merch guy. He was just selling merch on tour with these guys, and as Reed Connolly and some of the other players that were playing banjo and pedal steel in Charles's band, the Allegheny High, as they all took other routes, there was a void that needed filling. There was a pedal steel position that needed played, and Amico was he's an artist. The dude plays every sort of instrument, and he's just been a picker and a player his entire life. So I guess Charles walked up to him and said, hey man, if you could figure this out, you got a place in this band. And here we are today. So I will not talk your ear off any longer, and I will let Amico tell his story himself. But without further ado, actually, I have to tell you, if you haven't yet, Charles is playing his Backyard Brawl show Friday, September 13th. I got tickets. I'm going to be down there tailgating. This is Amico's first hometown show. He's going to be up on stage, ripping on stage with Charles Wesley Godwin. And if you don't have tickets, Friday the 13th at Stage AE, I highly implore you to get tickets. I had an opportunity to see Charles's band at Healing Appalachia, which is at the State Fairgrounds of West Virginia. And this was last year. That was like my real introduction, my first time seeing him play some live music, and it was, unreal. It really was. They put on a great show, the Allegheny High, a good group of guys that are just, having a great time up there, and I am excited for the show. I'm excited for Amico. I'm excited for this whole, uprising of country music that we got happening on, and, I'm excited for you guys to listen to this episode. So without further ado, episode 287 of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with Amico Demuzio.
I gotta use the telephone.
Hello?
Telephone.
I'll call you right back.
Appreciate that. This is our go-to for our rider.
Yeah, it's hard for it not to be, because it tastes good, first of all, but what I learned is the reason that they're in there is they're trying to get rid of the plastic,
right?
The footprint. I interviewed this cool lady who worked for this organization called Allegheny Cleanways, which is an organization that specializes in cleaning up illegal dump sites throughout Pittsburgh and Allegheny County.
Oh wow, that's real cool.
And it's pretty mind-blowing how much trash is just random places in the city.
Right.
4 million pounds.
Oh my God.
I don't remember if it was 1 year or 2 years, but it was 4 million pounds, 40 some odd thousand spare tires. But I usually ask everyone what they'd like to drink. That used to be a little segment of the podcast, and this lady picked Liquid Death. And I asked her, I was like, you know, because she was a little bit older than me, and I was like, so why did you pick Liquid Death? And she was like, well, it's the only thing that's like truly recyclable.
Yeah, sustainable packaging, that's what it's all about.
Pretty cool idea. And
Absolutely.
I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just keep buying shit, because I used to just have regular water bottles in the fridge,
Sure.
and one dude drank like 6 of them, and I was like, I got to figure out a better way to not have all this plastic.
Right.
But yeah, dude, early morning on the weekend, like this is my favorite time to interview people.
This is great, bright, fresh, and early. I love it.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you waking up and coming down.
I wouldn't miss it. This is awesome. The first time doing something like this. It's real cool.
First time.
Yeah, I've never.
Can I ask how old you are?
I'm 20.
20 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, are you a podcast listener?
Yeah.
Now, how'd you get into it?
Into podcasts?
Yeah, like what do you listen to?
On a lot of comedy stuff. Like I love Theo Vaughn. I love This Past Weekend is the name of his.
Yeah.
He does a lot of great episodes. Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast.
So good.
Yeah, those guys are the best.
All
I
them
absolutely
guys.
love them. You know, they're just like guys like Central PA guys. You like listen to it, you sound like you're sitting in the room like right here with them.
That's what's so cool about it. It's cool to be able to like, you know, talk to someone. That's the best part about podcasting is like, you know, you could see everyone on like their Ellen DeGeneres interview.
Sure.
And it's like 5 minutes just promoting whatever you're promoting. But
Right,
like,
yeah, it's a real sterile thing.
Yeah.
It's like you just feel like you're in their house with them, just listening to it, and then you feel like you get to know the guys too. It's like it's super cool.
Super cool. It definitely a different level of immersion. I saw you met Theo Vaughn.
I did, yeah. He was the coolest.
Where'd you meet him at?
That was in LA at the Wiltern when we were opening up for Zach. I think close to 2 years ago now.
Was he just there?
Just popping in, yeah, to see the show. He was a fan of Zach's, and I think Cheeto Vera was there too.
Yeah.
The UFC guy, and yeah, Theo just came by, and me and Nate were outside talking because we had already played, and Zach was getting ready to go on, and we'd seen the show like 1,000 times. Yeah, by then. So we were like, yeah, let's go out and get a breath of fresh air because it gets stuffy in those theaters, and there we are standing just bullshitting, and then. And we had heard word that he might be dropping by. Don't say anything, but he comes walking down the alleyway, and he's a big dude too. Like I'm small. I'm like
Theo
5'6". Yeah, he's like 6'3". He's
really
a big dude. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, at least to me, it felt like I was looking up at a skyscraper. Man, it was like he's huge.
That's cool though. I mean, like that's what's so cool about all the comedians is like they really feel like just. Regular people, and that's what these podcasts provide.
Yeah,
a little bit of a glimpse on like what people are truly like, rather than their persona that you just like see online.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Yeah, he was like totally himself. There was a complete, uncut, perfect version of him. Like,
I love that.
He's who he is, which is the coolest thing to me.
That's super cool. Are you so whenever you guys are backstage, is that like lore that you usually hear? Like, oh, there's someone might be dropping by today.
Maybe when we were doing a lot of the Zach stuff, like the more high profile stuff, I guess you say, especially when we're in like LA or New York or something.
Yeah, I
like
guess
that.
so.
You get like a lot of surprise guests.
All the concentrated areas where like all the artists are at one point.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, like that got to be exciting. You're just back there. You have no.
Cool. I
would assume you would have no idea what's gonna, who's gonna pop in or anything.
Right.
That's neat though. So I mean, like, how long you been a musician?
Since I was like 3, I think I got my first drum set and then like guitar around the same time, like toy drums and like a toy guitar, and then slowly started just picking up more gear and like actual instruments and just playing every day.
Where do you think the musicianship comes in? Are your parents musicians?
No, but my cousins, local legends, Granati Brothers. You ever heard of them?
I have not. I'm sorry.
No. They're Beaver County guys, but they played all over the city with Donnie Iris and all the bands back then.
And I mean, like, what kind of music?
It was like they're more. I think their first album, like the Granati Brothers album, it's more like it's pretty diverse. I'd say it's like kind of like typical like 70s classic rock sort of thing. But they were super influenced by like the progressive movement at that certain point in time, like bands like Gentle Giant and Kansas and Yes, like that sort of stuff that was infused to their sort of classic rock sound. It was a pretty cool thing that they were doing. And then they got into like the 80s sort of new wave, like Talking Heads-esque stuff.
Yeah.
But David Granati, my cousin, the guitar player, he kind of took me under his wing when I was real young and showed me a few things, and then that just kind of set me hitting the ground running.
How old is he compared to you?
Oh, I think he's in his mid-60s.
Oh shit. Okay. So I mean, like, he's way older.
Oh yeah, like, absolutely.
That's cool then. So you had like a kind of a person that was just like putting you on to all the good stuff.
Pretty much, yeah, like all of them. And I grew up around my dad listening to like all the stuff he was listening to.
Yeah,
like a lot of like Southern rock and just regular typical Zeppelin, like all that kind of early classic rock stuff.
And you're from Beaver County, like born and raised.
Yep.
Been there forever.
Chippewa, Pennsylvania. Yep.
Hell yeah, small world.
Yeah.
So I mean, picking up an instrument at 3 years old. You said drums first, guitar second.
Pretty much about the same time.
Yeah. I mean, like, how do you, when you're 3 years old, like, are you just like, kind of dicking around on them, or are you actually like comprehending some stuff?
I was starting to probably around 4 or 5, like playing it for like a year, like getting familiar just like with the feeling of like hitting stuff and
muscle
getting
memory.
the sound out of it, and just realizing like, oh, I can hit this, make this sound. This makes a different sound. What can I do with these sounds? And I started listening to like, I think the first thing I tried like drumming along to was, everybody knows the Phil Collins "In the Air Tonight" drum fill. I was like, and like just doing that over and over as a kid. I'm sure I annoyed the hell out of my parents with that. But
now, how were you learning back then?
just by ear, and I'm the same way now. I just listen to something and kind of, I don't know, I get the idea of it in my head and translate it to my hands and
Wow.
do that.
So,
it was a very much more rudimentary thing at that stage. I was just listening to something. And I was like, oh yeah, this sounds like that. So I'll just keep playing that.
Yeah, trying to replicate it.
Yeah, that's it.
So did you have like any sort of formal training at all?
Not really. I mean, like I'd sit down and do lessons with like people from time to time, but it was never like a structured, like regimented thing.
Yeah, where you like practice for years, like on or you took lessons for years or anything.
No, I would just like see people that I like enjoy playing with or enjoy listening to them play and be like, hey, can you show me how to do this or something like that.
So you're pretty much self-taught all the way up.
More or less, yeah. But
Wow.
a lot of influence.
Yeah,
from
yeah,
those
I'm sure-
around me.
I'm sure,
A
yeah,
lot of
yeah,
people
you're-
showed me a lot of things.
Soaking up a lot of knowledge over the years.
Definitely.
That's super cool though. So I mean, as you're coming into your late 10-year-old years, I mean, how does that progress from a couple toy instruments to you getting your real instruments and like going from there?
I just like kind of started to take it seriously. Like I think my mom and my dad saw that I was like really wanting to do this and like actually starting to make good sounds out of it, like something that sounded like music. Like I think like the first song I learned on my guitar was "Sunshine of Your Love" by Cream, and I started playing that riff over and over again. And they're like, "This kid can like play guitar." So they got me like my first real guitar. It was a Epiphone Les Paul my grandpa bought me.
That's amazing.
And like first real drum set, and I was like just playing around with people, like go to like local jams and stuff. I was just like this little kid, and I was like, hey, I can play the drums. They're like, you can? Yeah. And the Grenadis, like David and Joey was the bass player in the Grenadi Brothers band. They had this like School of Rock Academy in Ambridge, and they would get like all kinds of local kids to come through, and they would do like group classes and stuff like that. So those were only the really formal lessons, but they were still my cousins, so it felt like we were just hanging out. It wasn't like here's a piece of music, learn this and play it. Like everybody would learn it in a group, mostly by ear, like tabs.
Yeah. Wow. So the School of Rock they were involved with. There's multiple.
It was their own. Yeah, it wasn't like a.
Is it not part of the School of Rock? Do you know that they have those out now?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff like that. It was not like that. It was very informal.
Okay, so this is not part of that.
No.
Okay.
No, this was their own thing. They just called it the School of Rock.
Ahead of their
based
time.
off of the Jack Black movies,
That's cool though. I mean, like that's cool that was kind of like a led you down that path and kind of gave you a way to start listening. And I'm sure they exposed you to a lot of music whenever you were younger.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it's interesting that you said that you kind of just started like learning by ear because do you remember like being young and like watching different like music videos or anything like that and like getting feeling that and like wanting to try to you would just go and try to play that sound?
Inspire me. Like I'd watch like Clapton at a real young age and like hearing all those blues licks, it's like, oh, that's cool, that's where I want to go with this now. And
that's awesome.
And just try to visualize what he was doing, and I was like, oh, okay, my fretboard has all the same notes, where are they at, how can I find them? And I just plink them out by ear. And then
were you like are you a visual learner? Like you could look at people's hands and like see figure it out that way,
along with hearing it obviously.
Yeah, that's cool to think about though. It's weird you mentioned Sunshine of Your Love. I just interviewed this. We have a record pressing plant that just opened up in Pittsburgh called
I heard about that.
Hellbender Vinyl.
Yeah.
I just interviewed him. His name's Jeff Betton, but I got to go tour this place.
Oh, cool.
And I'm like kind of filming like a dirty jobs with this episode, but we were talking about vinyl and like how I kind of got introduced to it. And Sunshine of Your Love was the first record I remember seeing, the first song I remember listening to from my dad's record collection in the basement.
Nice.
And yeah, it's interesting you said that, because that's like one of them songs that just like,
it transcends time and place. It's a classic.
Unreal.
To say the least.
I mean, coming up whenever you're young, what else are you doing besides playing music, or is that just your entire life?
Honestly, just like running around in the woods. We live, I'm still in my childhood home. We have like probably 60 or 70 acres out in Beaver County, and just tons of trails, miles of trails.
Hell yeah.
Just running around.
Are you like a hunter? In the woods. Stuff like that?
Not really.
Yeah.
I like to conserve.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so, I mean, like, coming up, what is like, what's like your high school like? I mean, what are you doing in high school? Like, what are you thinking about you're doing with your life?
Well, I'd say when I first entered high school, Blackhawk's a very like sports-oriented school district, and they're good at it too, but the music programs are also great. I was in high school jazz band for a while, and like all the musical stuff I could do in school, I pretty much did, except for like marching band, that sort of thing. But I did concert band in middle school. I played timpani. It was all percussion then. I wasn't on like a stringed instrument or a woodwind or anything like that.
You got to pick these, or were they kind of like designated to you? Everybody
starts on like the little drum pad, and you start doing like rudiments and stuff. And but I never really learned that way, because it was all like sheet music. And I think my teacher, who was a great teacher, his name was George Hoyditch. He just retired. He was a great guy. He kind of saw that I was more oriented towards like the drum kit, and I could just like kind of hear stuff and play it. I had the sheet music too. It was just, I was a little more slow learning with that sort of stuff, and I think he noticed that and kind of put me on different instruments to try to feel out what I was liking. And it just kind of, I don't know, I only had 3 years of that, so it's not like I did a whole lot. But
yeah, that's cool though. I mean, so jazz band and everything, you're like at that time, can you tell that you're like kind of advanced at playing music?
I guess so, sort of. I mean, there wasn't like a whole lot of drummers in the school either who was playing, because jazz band was basically full kit.
Was that your main focus, was drums?
No, it was just more what I could do in school.
Yeah.
There wasn't like a real guitar part for a lot of these things. They were written out for kids that age. There wasn't a whole lot of guitar players either.
I guess there wasn't. I mean, like, I guess like pedal steel and everything is not really like an instrument you play in high school.
No, and it wasn't for me either. I haven't even been playing pedal steel for more than a year, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
What about so? I mean, God, that's so crazy to think about. So, I mean, through your playing through music through high school and everything like that, do you actively think that like I'm going to make this a career?
I always kind of felt that. I didn't know it would happen so soon or in what capacity, but I always obviously wanted to do something with music. And even if it wasn't a career, it would just be a hobby that I would never quit.
Yeah.
I never really liked to call it a hobby, because I've always been not serious about it, but I put more time into it than mostly anything else.
Are you playing in bands outside of school and stuff?
Mm-hmm. Like I was at that time.
What kind of bands?
I was just like cover bands, stuff like that. Me and my buddies.
Like rock and roll type stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Classic rock cover bands. A brief period of time, me and a couple of my buddies who went to Lincoln Park. That's like have you ever heard of that, Lincoln Park? It's like a charter performing arts school.
Yeah.
Me and a few friends from there that I'd met through mutual friends from Blackhawk, we started like a original band, but we didn't really do a whole lot with it. But it was still like sort of rock, grunge oriented, like
that's cool
sort of thing. But yeah, it was just a lot of playing in local bars around my place. Just with high school friends. We probably did it for like 2 or 3 years.
Anyone who would want to play and do it.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's awesome.
Anybody who had the time to do it.
So I mean, like, you figuring things out and like trying to navigate. I mean, because my whole thought is like, you're in high school and those years go by quick, and towards the end they're like, you got to figure your shit out.
Yeah.
So as someone who wants to make their career in music, like, what do you think your in is? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. We just like
were you going to go to school for music after high school?
I really wasn't thinking of that either, because it's always just came naturally to me. So it was like, I mean, I have enough people around me that show me the stuff that I want to learn. Like, I don't need to pay multiple thousands of dollars for somebody to show me that somewhere else.
Yeah.
And somebody that I don't know.
Yeah, you already have the people that have years of experience.
More or less,
here.
yeah. And I've never been like a former schooling kind of person, or formal schooling.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so you figuring this out, I mean, did you have like a presence in the music scene? Would you say that?
I wouldn't say it was a presence. I would like show up to stuff and play, but like, because the Beaver County music scene is fairly small.
I guess so. It would be
not a lot of. There really is no venues in Beaver County. I think Jurgles is still. It's considered Allegheny County, right? I think.
I would say so. Yeah, I would say it probably is.
Yeah. So there's like really nothing except for like bars in Beaver County, and that's really what I grew up playing in.
You like to perform?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like you always were a performer?
Yeah. Ever since I was a little kid. I think the first show that I played was with the School Rock at the Brady's Run Maple Syrup Festival. They had
no shit. I know what that is.
Yeah, you do? Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we played that. Cool. I was like, I was probably the youngest kid on that stage. Like, I couldn't have been like 4 foot tall, just standing there with a guitar and like playing it behind my back, doing all this crazy shit. Probably not playing very well, but
yeah, I mean, still doing it though.
Just having fun being up there in front of people. And it wasn't like a hey, look at me sort of thing. I was just like, I'm making music with people that I like being around, and like whether it sounds good or bad, it doesn't matter to me. I'm having fun, and if I can convey that to other people, that's all the better.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So your life, like, you know, outside of doing your, you know, I'm sure you had jobs, I'm sure you went to school, but like, are you just like chilling in your room, learning music and playing music?
A lot of times, yeah. I have a little studio at home.
Yeah.
I call it the studio, but it's just a room filled with way too many instruments, my computer that I record on sometimes. And
that's awesome.
Have friends over and just play.
That's super cool.
Yeah, for a period of time, though, too, at the end of my last 2 years of high school, I went to Votech, and I've always been kind of mechanically inclined, too, because my dad has all kinds of heavy machinery. He does demolition, like residential.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I was always helping him fix his machines and, like, learning how all that kind of stuff works. And then...
what was your focus in Votech?
It was welding. I learned to weld and got certified and everything, and... It was kind of crazy how it worked out. Like before I got all my certs and everything, I was like looking at jobs. I was going to work at Calgon Carbon in Neville Island. And like I was about to go there the week before I went out for the first time with Charles selling merch.
That is crazy.
Yeah. It was like, I had everything planned out. And like, you know, by that time I was like wanting to do music, but didn't seem like it was the most realistic option at that time.
This is after you got out of high school?
This is like the week before I graduated, yeah.
So, yeah, oh, wow. You're like, okay, I got to figure shit out.
Yeah, pretty much. And I like doing it, too. Like, it was fun, but welding is definitely, like, tough on your body.
That's like my, I don't weld full-time, but my full-time job is I work for a fabrication company.
Oh, nice.
So, like, I design it all day on AutoCAD, and we have a shop right down within the grounds, but it's like, you know, I see what these dudes are doing. They're busting their ass doing this stuff. Yeah. That's a small world that like you were, you know, right at that door.
Yeah. I was literally about to put my application in, and it just kind of worked out that I guess God had some other plans.
Yeah. So I mean, like you're playing music and you're obviously like progressing and you're, you know, taking it seriously, but you're also, you know, kind of being realistic and thinking about getting a real job. Mm-hmm. How does it transition from you working at Calgon Carbon to, you know, being on one of the late shows playing for Charles Wesley Godwin?
So the lead guitar player in Charles' band, Al Torrance, is also my cousin. He's related through my dad's side of the family, and I always grew up around him playing guitar and all the other guys in the band too. Like we all grew up within like 5-10 minutes of each other. So
and he's one of the main ones that are in the band, right? Mm-hmm. He's always been in there. He has the hair.
Yeah, he does.
Okay,
yeah. I mean, that whole band is the original band.
Okay.
Yeah, but besides me, really. So his dad actually contacted my dad, and he was like, "Hey, I know Miko's still in school, but it's about to be summer. You know, he's about to graduate and everything. These guys are Charles is getting to the point where they need somebody to like help sell their t-shirts and stuff." And he was like, "Do you think Miko would be interested in that?" And my dad was super stoked about me welding, and he obviously has always helped me pursue my music dreams too, but he's a very realistic minded guy. He's like, get a good job welding, you know, it'll be secure, it'll be safe.
Secure.
Yeah, definitely. But it's not to say that he ever like put my music dreams down. He's like, you can do that when you get home.
For sure. Yeah. My parents were the same way. It's like, make sure you have a decent job. You can do whatever the hell you want after.
Exactly. So he contacted me. He's like, "Hey, do you think Minx want to come out?" And my dad was like, "No, he's not doing that. He's not traveling. He's not going to Kansas City, Missouri to sell t-shirts. What the hell? What are you talking about?" So I guess that never got like, he never told me that he even had that conversation. And then Albert's dad, Big Albert, we call him because his name's Albert too. I ran into him one day when I was with my dad, and he was like, "Hey, Mika, are you gonna come out with Albert and help those guys like sell t-shirts?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? I didn't know anything about that." And he was like, "Yeah, they're leaving like next week."
Holy
and
shit!
I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go do that." And you know, it's the first time I kind of split off and did my own thing outside of like the the county, I guess.
Wow.
Real like small town thing. It's funny, but yeah, it was like the first time I like kind of made my own decision and like stepped out and I was like, I'm gonna just go do this on a whim, and didn't think much more past that.
What year is this?
This is 2022, so just 2 years ago.
Wow. So I mean, like that could have like if you wouldn't have ran into him, you could be welding right now.
Yeah, I would have been in a fab shop, probably hating myself. Probably wouldn't even be playing as much music as I ever would have been now.
Wow. So before this even happened, like were you like playing like all the time still?
Mm-hmm, yeah, I was still playing. There was like a jam night every Thursday at a place down by my house. It was in Bridgewater. I would go down there every week and just kind of dot little shows in between with my friends where we could arrange stuff.
And what are you playing mostly there?
It was mostly guitar.
Wow.
But I was starting to venture into like bass. I was like always kind of the utility guy. If somebody needed a drummer, I'd hop on the drums. If somebody needed a guitar player, I'd hop on the guitar. Bass, same thing.
Wow. And this is, I mean, you're just learning all from ear, really?
Yeah, pretty much. Ear and
God,
feel.
that's crazy. And you could be welding right now.
Right.
So I mean, you ran into Big Al and, you found out that this was, a proposition that was put on the table.
An opportunity.
And you just left?
Yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna go with them because I guess for my dad's peace of mind, I was riding up with them. It's not like I was like driving out by myself or something.
Yeah, you're with people that he knows.
Yeah,
so I mean, you're family. Obviously not gonna like.
Yeah, it worked out that it was like that. If it was any other like random endeavor, that probably would have never happened.
Dude, that is really crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts. We did 2 shows out there. It was Kansas City, or no, it was St. Louis and then Kansas City.
Well, I mean, what does that look like? So whenever he says, do you want to go out, like how do you get to where you guys are going?
I just drove because Albert's dad was coming to the show to see them play anyway. So he was like, you can just ride with me and we'll go out there. And we did. It was like a...
And you were just selling merch?
Yeah, just slinging T-shirts.
Wow.
Didn't know anything about it. And then
Was that overwhelming at first?
A little bit, because I'd never worked in like the service industry or anything like that. I mean, I have people skills, but I didn't have like, the merchandise retail skills.
Yeah, communicating with people like that on that level.
Like bartering, trying to like basically sell a product. I'd never done that before, so.
Wow.
But, and it wasn't to the point where we were selling multiple thousands of dollars in merch. It was like a couple $100.
Yeah.
But over the years, I started like, I did those 2 shows and then started to go out on weekends, do a couple more here and there when I could. And then, it just got offered to me full time to go out with them and
to work merch, to be a merch. And whenever you guys whenever you're doing a full time merch, like, are you traveling with the band or is it separately?
Yeah, it was touring with them.
Wow.
Yeah. Touring in the sense of 12 guys riding in a van.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a certain, like my friends, they grew up in local smaller bands. So like, but I mean, being a local smaller band, you're traveling, you're driving everywhere in vans. Yeah. So I definitely know what that probably was like.
Yeah. And I mean, we had a good too. We were in a Ford Transit van and they're, as comfy they can be for like a
for
transit
sure.
van. Yeah.
But you guys are just grinding, driving everywhere.
Yeah. It was a lot of grinding for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful, I mean, I'm sure it's a beautiful experience, but it's like you're putting in your work for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, like, are you playing music while this is happening?
I mean, I would bring a guitar on the road and play, and then when I was home, I would do little shows with friends or just jam with people that I wanted to hang out with.
Well, how does it graduate from you slinging T-shirts to you playing?
So like I said, I did the T-shirts for about 2 years, and over that course of time, we just kept opening up for Zach Bryan, and I think
this is full time. You were doing merch,
yeah.
So like,
I was out the week that I graduated. I was like home for a week, and then I was out that entire summer and fall, just like from here to California. First time I was ever on the West Coast. Like,
wow.
Yeah, and I love to travel too, and that really, I think, helped with a lot of it because I didn't think about like, oh man, I'm out there, I am far away from home, and
out there by yourself with nothing, rather than like having like
people that I know.
Yeah, with this group of people.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a big leap for me, I think.
I can't believe that like you almost didn't even know that was a real thing.
Yeah, it was close.
Now let me ask you, do you whenever you found out that was a choice, did you feel any sort of resentment?
No, not at all. Because I know the way my dad is. I was like, it's
meant for good. He meant good.
Yeah, absolutely. He wanted to see me do well with the profession that I already put a lot of time into, like welding, like 2 years of my life, and like even before that, like I was super pumped on it. I was going to the Steam Fitters Hall in Zelienople like twice a week to go learn with like real steam fitters, like how to pipe weld and shit like that. And
that's awesome.
I was dedicated, and I still love to do it when I have the time or I need to make a quick buck here and there. I
guess back then, you not becoming a full-time welder to go sell merch full-time is different than, you not becoming a welder to go play on stage.
Right.
So you didn't know, you didn't have the foresight to see that was going to happen.
Pretty much, yeah.
So that's, you can understand why your dad was like, yeah.
Definitely. And he's like, I guess his school of thought was, you're a musician, why would you sell t-shirts with a band? Why wouldn't you play in a band?
Yeah.
So like that also kind of made sense at the time too, but just, man, I learned so much from just being there at those shows, seeing how those shows operate, especially like the bigger Zach Bryan shows when we were doing that then, like, and just watching him grow, like watching the trajectory of somebody who's really making it, watching all the overhead grow with it.
Yeah, it's probably invaluable
absolutely.
With just like the experience that you see.
I would have had a much harder time navigating what I do now had that not been the case.
Yeah, because you guys are kind of on two different, there's two different, that's two different worlds a little bit. You guys are obviously killing it now with Charles Godwin, but Zach is doing these crazy arenas, so I'm sure seeing the mechanics of how it works is just different worlds.
We went from playing amphitheaters, 3,000-4,000 person venues, and they had even been playing with Zach a year before I got on with them. Yeah, so they were seeing him in theaters and bigger clubs.
Did Charles open for Zach whenever he played at Stage AE here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
and he when Zach, I think one of the first shows they did with Zach was at the Roxy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
2021.
Yeah. I think that sounds more familiar. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Stage AE, we did that. It was 2 years ago.
And now it's just to the moon.
Yeah.
So, you guys are out there for 2 years. Obviously, Charles and the whole band is growing pretty drastically.
Yeah.
And, it's pretty crazy to see that. The growth is pretty insane.
It's been wild in the last year or so, man.
Same thing with Zach. It's just all insane. It's a good time for music.
Yeah.
A real good time for music for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. And his guests have been getting crazier too. He has Springsteen up on stage with him now.
Absolutely insane. I was talking to Reed the other day and I was like, that's pretty cool, dude.
Oh man.
And it's cool just to even see that that's a reality and to hear these people's stories.
Too. Yeah.
I know. Charles posted, he went to Bruce the other day, but he was at the restaurant a minute away.
Yeah.
It's we go there all the time. And it's
so
it's just cool that he's that local and just making some shit happen.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
So you going from merch, where's the first initial, movement to you playing music with them?
So yeah, that's right. Sorry, I'm rambling. That's
this is what this podcast is. It's very trajectory based.
Yeah. So we, as we were playing with Zach more, Reed was starting to play with Zach a lot more too, and that's how he got the name Two Show.
Yeah. For people that are listening, we're talking about Reed Connolly. He was a guest on the podcast a year ago, who played with Charles Wesley Godwin. Is a great musician. He played, and now he plays with Zach Bryan mainly. And just for some context for people that are listening.
Thanks. So he, like I was saying, as he started playing with them more, it was starting to work out that the Zach shows were getting bigger, and he was enjoying doing that too. And then I think the call just came to him doing that full time, and Charles had went through a few sort of fill-ins while Reed was still in the band, but also off doing his own thing when he could, and just a couple of them worked out, whether it just wasn't the right fit or people had other stuff going on where they couldn't make it full time. So they did a lot of shows too without even a pedal steel or a banjo player. As it was just 6 of them just doing their thing. We had Kurt Ozen, who's a good friend of ours now. He's the pedal steel utility guy for Luke Combs. Okay. We were just touring with, and he's the greatest, man. A great player and a great fit with the guys, but he kind of had bigger fish to fry. So the shows he did with them were great, but just didn't work out in the long run. So I think it helped a lot. Like we were talking about, I learned everything by ear, basically sitting there selling those T-shirts. This was kind of just an offshoot of everything else, learning how the industry works and all that. I was just hearing the songs every single night and being able to conceptualize those parts in my head and humming along to Reed's steel parts, because even though I haven't played for that long, I've always loved the sound of a pedal steel and kind of just thought it was interesting and to kind of hum those parts in my head, and it just kind of came down to, they were at the end of their touring schedule, and Charles came to me. He was like, "Hey man, if you can pick up this instrument, I know you've heard the songs, I know you know the material, it's just a matter of putting it to the instrument. If you can get a pedal steel and learn how to play it like kind of proficiently, you have a spot in the band. Because, you know, selling the merch, I had my foot in the door anyways. I was already used to touring with those guys.
Yeah, they knew you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
So it kind of just worked out like that, long and short of it.
And that was that the first time you ever played it?
Yeah. Yeah, for this gig, it was basically the first time I'd ever played pedal steel in any. Well, not basically. It was the first time I'd played any pedal steel in any band or anything like that.
Now, I mean, like whenever he comes up to you and says this, I mean, do you immediately are you nervous or you're like, oh, I got it?
No, I was like, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
So, even if I like don't get the gig, I learned how to play the pedal steel. I was like, that's just cool in and of itself.
But you had confidence that you'd be able to figure out the pedal steel.
I felt like it was kind of blind confidence because I had no clue what I was getting into. Like one time I sat down because I would always chat with Reed and be like, hey man, how does this thing work? Because it's like being a guitar player looking at a pedal steel, it's like an F-16 fighter jet. It's like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
It has like strings, but it's not really a guitar that you like hold. You sit down at it. What's that about? And he would just show me and play stuff, and I'd be like, can you play this? And he would play it, and I'd be like, wow, that's cool. Like I'm a big Deadhead, and Reed loves the Grateful Dead too, and he played in a Dead project around here. I forget who it was with or the name of it, but he was showing me like some of the pedal steel parts that he learned because Jerry Garcia played pedal steel on a lot of the early Dead stuff, and he was showing me some of those parts. And I was just geeking out about it, and it was just really cool. And he let me sit down at the steel one time, so like I think that might have set the seed to be like, oh, this is cool. This is like, it was kind of intuitive coming from the guitar, like using your feet and your legs and both of your hands to play this instrument. Yeah.
Now, do the pedals for the pedal steel, I mean, do they kind of serve as the same way the pedals work for a piano where it like presses on the string?
Not in the same sense. The pedals on a piano are like a sustained thing. So there's like dampers that hit the strings after you hit the note. So it's like a short attack. But the pedal, when you press down on the pedals on a piano, it lets the strings ring out.
Yeah.
The pedals on the pedal steel change the notes.
Oh.
So they
like a completely different note.
Mm-hmm. Ah. Yeah, they either raise or lower the tension of the string, ultimately, you know, changing the note, while you're also doing that same principle with your hand.
Wow.
So
yeah, he plays in unison. That's
pretty
wild.
Much, yeah, it's more about note choice than it is like sustain.
So, I mean, you and your first, you know, playing your first show with them, from when he told you that this could be a possibility to the time you played that show, how long was that?
It was October of 2023 to March of this year.
Oh, so you had some time to figure everything out.
Yeah, I had plenty of time.
I thought that he was like, yo, we need to fill in next week. And you're like, shit.
Not that kind of thing. That would be wild.
That would be scary.
There's no way I would ever pull that off. No. But it was still scary. Those months were like looming. I was like, this is a completely foreign instrument to me. And
so did you just go buy pedal steel and just play, you know, you're just in it now?
Pretty much, yeah. It's not like something you can walk into a store and find. You know? Yeah. There's this guy out in Ohio that Reed actually recommended me to him. He had just known about the website. I don't think he really knew the guy or anything, but he lives out in Kent. He's a fantastic player. His name is Mike. The name of his business is Steel Guitars Ohio, which I got both of my pedal steels from him. He's like I said, a great player. He restores and like refurbishes and resells a lot of old pedal steels and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how do you pick what you wanted?
You know, I really didn't know. I just kind of took a shot at it. And the thing with pedal steel too is all the setups are so unique to the individual player. There's like some universal like setups to like kind of get people off the ground and just kind of keep some stuff constant across guitars and tunings and stuff. But I don't know. I kind of sat down with the dude and talked to him. I was like, what do you recommend for somebody starting out? And he laid it out for me and had a steel that was set up that way. So I started playing it and starting to figure it out. I was like, okay, this kind of makes sense. And I was like, I think I could run with it. It felt good and it sounded good. So I was like, all right. I didn't really know a whole lot about them. And there's not a lot of resources online to really research and see what's like better for beginners, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, learn by fire.
Pretty much, yeah.
Now, I mean, you went up there and you obviously like tried out, I would assume.
I played a few of them.
Was that like, you know, whenever you first started like getting into it and you had this thing and you brought it home and you started playing it, like, were you overwhelmed or were you kind of like, did you initially feel like you had the hang of it?
I like kind of had the hang of it, but I was just super like determined and inspired to learn it. Like I would just hear something new every day, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go figure that out. Like I would spend hours a day, still do. I spend hours a day just playing and dissecting parts and listening and just trying to come up with some of my own stuff too, and just figuring out how the instrument works more than anything, and figuring out where all the sounds are on the fretboard
and how to make those sounds. That's so cool.
Much the best ways to get in there, because there's multiple ways of doing it. Like on the steel, like playing the same thing, there's multiple ways to play it, but it's like the most, if you're like moving through chords, the easiest, most ergonomic way to do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
efficiency.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, I mean, like whenever you're learning this and you're trying to figure this shit out, like you said that there's not too many resources online.
Oh, really?
I mean, is there? I would assume my first thing would be like, I'm going to go to YouTube.
Yeah, there's some good YouTube stuff out there. Nowadays, more than ever, I feel like that probably isn't the same like 5 years ago.
Why do you think that there's not as many resources? Because it's like
not a lot of steel guitar players.
Yeah, it's a unique instrument.
Yeah, very, very.
Because if you go on there and you're like, let me get guitar tabs, guitar techniques, and everything.
Dime a dozen,
millions of them.
Yeah,
that's interesting to think about that though. So for you to kind of expand your knowledge and educate yourself and figure this shit out to where you're proficient with these like well-oiled machine musicians have been playing all the time together.
Yeah.
How do you approach that? Like, are you just like strictly spending hours on it, just getting reps? Is that the best way you're learning?
Pretty much. Yeah, I would say it's just like. Just trying to get as familiar with the instrument as I could. To once I was in that setting, I wasn't thinking about how am I playing this. It's thinking about what am I playing.
Yeah, what are you playing? How could I manipulate this to make it sound like I need it?
And just to be comfortable. It's like you're saying, like muscle memory. That's what a lot of it is. So I was just trying to get that heavy lifting out of the way before I got either in a room practicing with them or so I just wasn't showing up empty-handed.
Yeah,
and especially getting on a stage, not doing that.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. Did you? Did you think about like taking any lessons or anything at that point?
Definitely. I sat down with Reed a bunch of times. He showed me a lot of pointers and stuff.
That's cool. Now, from you getting that, you bought that in October. So you're coming up on 2 years of it now?
October of last year.
Or a year of it. You're coming up on a year of it?
The transition I made from guitar to pedal steel, which a lot of people do too, is lap steel, which is non-pedal steel. It's similar to the dobro, the resonator that Reed brought, but like the electric version of that. 6 strings, because pedal steel has 10. Well, they can have more than 10, but mine has 10. So the jump from 6 strings to 10 was a little bit different. So it was easier to go from 6 strings on a fretted guitar to 6 strings in a similar tuning on the lap steel.
Wow.
So that's more like when you think of lap steel, like the Jackson Browne, like running on empty, that sort of solo sound.
Wow. That's pretty crazy to think about that.
Just to get the technique down with the finger picks and like the intonation of the bar, that kind of stuff. That's a lot easier to do on the lap steel than it is to get to that and then be overwhelmed with, not only am I trying to keep my left hand in tune, like playing the right notes, I got to manipulate that with my feet and my knees, and like
it's a lot of factors into it.
Yeah, so it's a lot easier to learn on something that's much more stripped down and much more accessible. Then you start to learn the fundamentals, do all that kind of stuff for a while, and then it's gradually progressed. But I always had like the sound in my head, which is what messed with me the most, I think, is I was playing the lap steel and I wasn't like exhausting my possibilities. I just like, I felt like my mind was already geared towards the pedal steel. So it's like, I get this now. I get the technique. That's all fine and good. I need to get it to the pedal steel now to like just kind of scratch that itch in my brain.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wow. That's cool to hear about. So March, you said, was the first show?
Yeah, March 22nd.
I mean, where is this at?
This was Peoria, Illinois.
And is that like, how big is it? How many people?
It was probably, I want to say it was like 1,000.
Okay.
2,000, more than I'd played for before that.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
And you said, you're playing the majority of local bars and shit like that.
Right.
So this is obviously your biggest crowd.
Definitely.
I mean, like, how nervous are you?
Honestly, I wasn't. Because, I mean, at least my mindset has always been, if you play for 5 people, you can play for 5 million. Like, it doesn't matter.
I love that.
Once you get, I mean, that's just always how I've been. I've never had a problem playing in front of people, or like the art of performance.
Yeah.
I guess.
Now and you felt like you were efficient with all the music. I'm sure you learned it by then and everything.
Kind of, yeah. I wasn't like playing through the songs like really well, but I was getting through them, and I could play the parts and feel comfortable with like just what I had done.
Getting
I wasn't
to A to
like,
B.
Yeah, I wasn't improvising or anything like that, or coming up with new parts on the fly. Like,
well, let me ask you now that you say that. So, I mean, while you guys are playing, obviously, you know, how often does the set list change from night to night?
It changes a good bit. I mean, you know, we only have so many songs, but the order changes, and we toss in some old ones or toss in some new ones, like stuff that we don't play that often. We'll pull out on a special night or something like that. But
so
there's a lot of mainstay songs in the set.
So when you guys are playing, is it pretty like refined, like the schedule of everything, like people's, like, you know, usually sometimes, you know, the main artist will be like, oh, I'm gonna introduce everyone, and they have like, you know, 20 seconds to kind of, you know, solo out a little bit. You know, do you guys kind of have like a tight set in that way, or is there a lot of like, you know, improvisation?
Yes and no. We're not like, I wouldn't say right now we're a band that like takes tunes out and improvises them in a way like the Grateful Dead did or somebody like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of the tunes have forms. I mean, everybody's solos every night are different. That's like our form of improvisation. But the forms of the songs stay the same. There's like skeletons there that we like kind of just work around.
That's cool.
But like you said, like we have a song that we just vamp on a chord for, and Charles goes around.
What did you just say?
Vamps on a chord, like just like playing a chord.
Oh, okay.
Jamming along with just
like just keep playing.
Yeah, like while we introduce. We're not like playing through the song. Or
yeah, but you're just keeping that tune going.
Kind of like a little interlude. Yeah, like something that segues into the song. While
you call that vamping on a chord.
Yeah.
We're learning on this podcast. Vamping on a chord.
Yeah.
You know, keep that chord vamping a little bit. I love that. It's so good.
Yeah.
Dude, honestly, I was late to the game on, you know, this whole world of music. Like, I grew up with, like, you know, my country music that I grew up with was like, you know, my mom playing Alan Jackson, George Strait, Tim McGraw. You know, she was more of the mainstream, like poppy, and my dad got me into, like, you know, the Led Zeppelins, the Creams, you know, all that. But you know, I actually, my buddy's lake house that I just got back from yesterday, it had to be a year ago that I really started getting on to this new age country music, because we were sitting by a fire, you know, middle of the night, 3 a.m. I actually already fell asleep at like 11 a.m. Everyone else, you know, I woke up, it was 3 a.m. I was like, what the fuck is that loud noise? And my buddy and his brother, hammered drunk, sitting out by a fire just listening to music, and I walk out and, you know, I'm like, you know, they're asking me, they're like, you listen to any, you know, new country or anything? And I was like, dude, I haven't listened to anything in so long. And they play me Feathered Indians.
Oh, nice.
And
it's a beautiful song.
I mean, it really was. It was beautiful to the point where we played it like 12 times and like dissected every bit of that song.
That's cool.
And that was like my initiation. And then he played Something in the Orange, and then he played Hardwood Floors, and then you know, it kind of just expanded from there. And like and now I'm just like, you know, knee deep into this world. But it all really came from like Tyler, Zach, and Charles, like, and that music.
That's really cool, man.
It's super cool to think about it. And then we go to, you know, I get super heavy into it, and then we go to Healing Appalachia.
Oh, nice.
And Charles's set.
Oh, you were there for that?
Yeah,
no way.
Charles's set was, they played, and it was Family Ties came out at midnight that night, and I already interviewed Reed, and he wasn't going to be there that day, but dude, it was like one of the most amazing live music experiences I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, that was a really fun festival.
You were there?
Yeah, I was there.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that's when Kurt was filling in for us. I was still there, just like managing merch.
Because last night I was zooming in on the pictures and the videos I had to see if you were playing.
No, I wasn't playing at that point.
Dude, it was so insane because we watched that set, and like whenever he played Another Leaf, and like whenever that like slows down and it gets going again. I like, you know, I have chills right now thinking about it, because we were right in the pit, me and my buddies, and we're just like losing it, like, yeah, like, dude, it was amazing. And then we go back to camp, and the album comes out at midnight, and we just listen through, and it's just like playing all night, and it was just like, man, amazing experience.
That's awesome.
Very, very cool experience. I don't even know how I got into the whole idea of that, but it was great.
Oh yeah.
But your first show, back to, you know, reverting back to it, it was a crowd of 1,000, okay, around there.
Yeah.
Now, how did it go?
Well, I felt like I was playing fine, but because this was my first time like building a touring rig and something that was like traveling with me, something that I wasn't like super familiar with at this point. Like,
what's the difference? Like, I mean, like what all
like
does that entail?
All my gear stays at home. Like normally, like when I was just playing bar shows,
I guess so.
A much smaller rig too. Like I didn't have a big pedal board or anything like that, or even a pedal board at all for that matter. Like a small amp, or I was using somebody else's amp. I wasn't even using my own stuff at half the time because a lot of them were just jams. So you're not going to bring a full guitar rig, like pedal board, multiple guitars. Like, I mean, some people do.
Yeah.
It's not really encouraged, but some people do. But like, I didn't have a setup that I was going to use every single night that I knew was like quality built and was going to like endure vibrating in a trailer for 10 hours.
Yeah. You're just like fine tuning what you need and what you're building.
Pretty much. At that point, I wasn't even fine tuning anything. I was just like, is this shit going to plug in and work? And turns out it didn't. So
it didn't work your first night.
All kinds of technical problems, man. It was.
Oh my God.
Rough. But playing in bars and stuff, like, you know, like breaking strings or an amp going out, that's the stuff you learn then. Like when you're cutting your teeth, you're like dealing with technical issues. And like, so that kind of prepped me for that night. And honestly, it didn't throw me because I was just having a good time being up there. Like I had so much fun watching these guys do it, and then being a part of it, actually being up there with them was just cooler than my stuff not working for me. You know, that didn't really faze me. I mean, I was kind of bummed at the end of the night. I was like, wow, first show, none of my shit worked. But
so what happens? I mean, like, did you fix it at that point?
Kind of. It was just, I was having this real weird problem where my amp, like, first off, didn't like make any noise, and like everything was set up and plugged in. Like we sound checked earlier that day, it was fine. I think it was a power issue ultimately, like with like the house power, like something was going out. And then I also narrowed it down to one of my pedals on my pedal board not functioning properly. It wasn't getting the right amount of power either. So that was part of it. And when something like a pedal doesn't get enough power, it distorts the signal. Like sometimes it'll shut off completely, but other times it'll like sounds like it has like an overdrive on it or something like that, and real crunchy.
Wow.
And like just didn't sound good. And that was coming through like front of house. So like just none of my shit worked. It was just.
How long is a set?
It's typically like hour and a half.
Hour and a half.
Yeah, by then we're probably playing an hour and a half.
How many songs is that usually?
I want to say like 19-ish. Maybe.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, did you realize it wasn't working from the first song?
It was like the third or fourth song in.
And you're like, this is not working,
and then it like
right?
Came back in for one song. I was like, oh, thank God it's fine. And then like halfway through that song, it just cut out again. I was like, all right. So I just like kind of faked it till I made it to the end of the song. Just like looked like I was playing and smiling and having a good time, and you know,
you just get that hot feeling. You're like,
cheeks were real red. Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, like,
but still, you know, like I said, having a good time. I like wasn't like,
you're just like, you know, up there in the moment.
Really, that's just it, and that's what it was all about. And it's more about the show more than anything. It's not like people are like listening super intently to what I'm playing. So I wasn't like worried that like, oh no, I'm not being heard or anything like that, or like my stuff's not working, people think I'm an idiot. Like it was nothing like that. It was just like keep the show going, basically.
Yeah. So I mean, like you guys get done, and like, you know, what's your mindset there?
Thank God it's over.
Yeah.
It's like
because I feel like, you know, that first one is like, you know, obviously going to be the hardest.
Of course.
You know, like if I do a live show, the first time I go up anywhere, I'm like sick about it. But you know, after you do it once,
I didn't have like crazy nerves though, because you know, I was with my friends. I was like, I was confident and like I was like ready to play at that point. Like I felt good about what I was playing at that point in time, and
it's just the idea of like the mechanics of it, like just the feeling of it at first.
I was like, this is the biggest show I've ever played. That was more the nerves than anything.
And once you get that done, like I'm sure that like
was just it.
From then you're like fine tuning and going from there.
Definitely helped me build some thick skin for sure, because I was like, you know, it can't get worse than this.
Yeah. Now in that moment is like, you know, do you like after you guys get off of a show, do you have like a, you know, like a decompression where it's like, you know, you talk about the show? I mean, it's probably fine tuned to the point now where it's
we just kind of do it and get out of the way, and we're like, you know, talk about the high points, like, hey, this was really cool when we did that.
Did people notice that your shit wasn't working?
I don't really think so.
Well, that's good.
So, I mean, and I couldn't care either way if they did or they didn't.
Yeah.
You know?
But I mean, like, you know, like your sound guy, you know, like, do you guys have my immediate thought process is like, you get off and the sound guy is like, yo, your shit was not working right. How do we fix it?
Yeah, he was super helpful. Like the whole band, they were all like, yeah, we'll get your stuff figured out. Like,
that's cool.
Yeah,
I guess it gives me a certain level of anxiety to even think about like having to adapt to the environment of every new venue every night to
that's
try
a
to
big
figure
thing.
that shit out.
Yeah, and we're not a small band either. Like, there's 7 of us in there. That's a lot of stuff up on stage. So when you get, like, we just played this it's a cool jazz club called Tipitina's in New Orleans, and this stage is like probably like as big as this space, like right here, from like your couch to that wall, like tiny.
Total. Yeah, that's crazy.
Drums, a full like upright piano. It's not a real piano. It's just a shell that he puts his keyboard in. That takes up a lot of space. My rig on the left side of the stage. Charles, Al, Eric, and then Nate playing bass. Like, it's
holy shit.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. So
chaotic symphony.
Yeah, we've been crammed into some real small spaces.
Well, now I'm curious. So, I mean, you guys are out on the road. Will you give me like a breakdown of like, you know, what your day to day is? Like what's like a morning of a show day?
So on a regular show day for us, like our headliners, we usually now that we have the bus, we pull in at like 8 o'clock in the morning because we're driving through the night.
You guys have a big tour bus now?
Yeah, we have like a coach-sized tour bus.
And like you guys are all on there at one time? Okay, so that's cool. So you're pretty much driving to where your events are, and like the trailers follow behind you with all the shit?
No, we have a trailer that's connected to the bus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have it's just like a regular 12x6 trailer.
So you fit everything in that trailer, Tetris style that trailer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's a lot of stuff, but we get it in there. So
and do you have like a road crew that goes with you?
No, it's just us.
Okay.
We have local like venue hands.
Yeah, that will help that way. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you just have a bus driver.
Yep, and a driver.
Okay.
So the crew we roll with, we have a tour manager. We have the 7 of us in a band. We have our photographer, front of house person, and which is sound guy, and then our merch manager. So there's 12 of us total.
Okay. That's a good squad.
Yeah, it's a great squad. We're a well-oiled machine too.
Okay, so you got that, and that, like, you know, let's say you roll into, you know, wherever.
Yeah, we pull into the venue, like I said, around 8 or 9. We start to load in around noon. Take about an hour or so to set up, maybe a little bit more for fooling around. You know, it's not like super pressed for time, because we got to give the sound guy to set. He sets up the most. Like, he has the console that he has to take out to the...
Your sound guy, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
He takes the console out to front of house, gets all that set up, gets everything plugged in, all the mics. Like, it's a huge production just for him alone. We just have our gear, we set it up, and then we're like good. But we always help him plug everything in and set up what we can. So by the time we get all that done, it's like 2-3 o'clock, and then we start to sound check, do a handful of songs, just make sure everything works, everything sounds good.
Is that usually what it is? It's just you guys play through a few things and just make sure everything's sounding good?
Yeah, that, or if we have some stuff we want to work on, either a new cover or like, you know, just figure out some new stuff for different parts of songs.
That's cool.
Or work out new material too, which we don't do a whole lot of like in that time period, but sometimes we use it for that. So then by the time we're done with that, we're basically free till we have to play.
Awesome.
So if we're in a cool part of town, we'll go out and get a coffee or go get something to eat, go to a record store, vintage shop, something like that.
Hell yeah. That got to be the coolest part about, you know, traveling around. Yeah, obviously playing for thousands of people would be dope, but like, you know, seeing all the cool stuff.
That's the job. The fun is going out and hitting the town and seeing these areas that we travel to. Yeah. Otherwise, we'd just be stuck in a venue all day. Why would we even travel?
I know. Like my idea is like, you know, I would hope that like that's what all you guys do is like go and like really get to explore the parts of the city. But I'm sure that like, you know, I'm sure that it's, I mean, I feel like it would be crazy throughout the day. Like are there days where you're, you know, getting to a place, playing, and then leaving that same night?
We pretty much do that every day.
Yeah, so I guess I bet
with the bus we pull up super early and then we leave like usually around midnight, 1 o'clock after we're done packing up.
Just drive through the night.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because most of the drives they aren't longer than 8-9 hours, and the bus drivers are only allowed by law like 10 hours per shift or 600 miles, whatever comes first.
Wow.
So most of the drives are under that threshold.
That's
unless
awesome.
we have like 2 days allotted to get to a certain place.
Yeah. That's cool though. So I mean, like, what are you guys doing for downtime on the bus? You just play video games and shit. Like
sometimes, yeah, we have a little Switch set up. We play Mario Kart.
Cool.
That's everybody just kind of goes their own way most of the time. Some people, you know, it gives you time to nap or something because some of them are real late nights and early rises. So everybody needs their beauty rest.
Yeah, I bet. Well, you playing these shows and like, you know, like how. Like, do you do some prep as far as like the places you go to places you want to see in them towns?
It depends. Yeah. Like if we're going somewhere where there's, like you said, something I want to see, I definitely try to plan it out with the time that we have.
That's cool. Now, I mean, you playing and like becoming like, you know, a more regular fixture in there, you know, how does that progress from you playing that first show to like, you know, keeping it going? Like you're just, you know, like how do you take that opportunity and run with it and make sure that like, you know,
I just basically got hired,
Yeah.
so I kind of had to do it, you know.
Yeah.
And I wanted to, so it was just really just, I just say like determination, like just I was really just wanting to do my all with it, you know.
Yeah.
Trying to do the best I could and help just make the overall sound as good as it could possibly be.
Hell yeah.
Not like I play a huge role in the band, but it's like if I can contribute whatever I can to make the show a better show, then
Yeah.
I'm definitely trying to do that.
Now your progression with like playing over, you know, the year of like playing the steel, like, I mean, is it, I mean, like you're obviously getting the hang of it. I mean, like, you know, all that experience, I'm sure it's doing great.
It's been very linear so far. I haven't really hit a plateau. Like I feel like I'm kind of starting to, because I'm starting to, or trying to like dissect a lot more, you know, aside from the Charles stuff in my own playing, just trying to listen to a lot of the old time steel players and listening to what they're doing and all these like cool little tricks and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just been just doing it every single day. That's been the progression.
Is there a way that you, as being like, so you said all the rest of the people in the band are like the original members of the band. So obviously, you know, you're the new guy, you're the young guy that's in there. You know, is there any sort of like thought in your mind on like how you could, you know, what you could do to like kind of make your mark on the music a little bit? Like, do you offer your own ideas on like, you know, the sound of the music or anything? Or are you like, you're kind of like hesitant on that still?
No, I wouldn't. I don't know.
You get what I'm saying though?
Yeah. It's not that I don't feel like I don't have a hand in the creative process, because we're just playing stuff that's already recorded at this point.
Yeah.
I've definitely like I don't play like Reed's parts like note for note. Like I take a lot of inspiration from him for sure. And because I just like the way that they sound. Like he did a great job playing all those parts.
And I understand that. I mean, even for, you know, for the future. Like, I mean, I assume
there definitely will be times where I'm doing that though.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be recording.
That's what I mean. Like new music or anything like that.
I'll definitely be a part of that.
Like, so your process as far as like you're writing mentally, you know, and you're working with like a band, obviously if you're just sitting at home in a studio, like you kind of have more creative control, but like whenever you're working with like, you know, 6 other people, you know, have you experienced any of them situations yet where you guys are writing and you're like trying to figure it out, all ends together?
Not quite yet. There's been a couple songs that Charles is working out right now that we've been just trying to put some music to as a full band but there's really no like right or wrong way to do it. It's not like they have like like either Charles
an
or anybody else.
Expectation, like it needs to hear like this.
Right, yeah.
But that's cool. Like it's cool, like your thought to even be able to like have that opportunity, you know. My assumption is that like whenever you do have that opportunity, you want to be able to like, you know, play it to the best of your ability you can. So you have that opportunity to like add some of that creative input to it. And that's, I mean, it's exciting. You know, it's, I'm excited for you for like, you know, the opportunities.
Yeah. I'm excited to start doing some recording with them. We're talking about starting to put out some new stuff, or like get some new stuff in our repertoire to maybe record at some point, or to just start playing live and just starting to test it out and feel the waters.
It's super cool. I mean, like your experience playing on stage, like do you actively like notice what songs are you know, bigger hits for crowds at different areas?
I wouldn't say it's like a regional sort of thing. It's more or less just what people listen to more. Like streaming wise, that sort of thing. Like
what would you say are like the big ones that people that crowds like really get crazy to? Got to be Q Country.
Oh yeah, they go nuts for that, because we pretty much open up with that every single night.
Honestly, that was like the wildest experience, was at Healing Appalachia, just ripping on that.
Yeah.
We were like, what the fuck? Like, just like,
yeah, that's a really
nuts.
fun one. It's kind of cool to open the show with that, because it gets them hyped up like immediately. Like comes in with the drums, and then I do the little banjo thing, and then everybody comes in at once, and it's this big like beat drop. It's fun. That gets them going. But everybody loves Another Leaf, they're huge on that because that's a big crowd participation one because we get everybody clapping.
God damn.
Like you said, it's like an emotional roller coaster of a song.
Yeah, you think it's going to stop, and then it just starts ripping again, and you're just hopping around like,
harder. Yeah. Hardwood Floors, like you said too, is huge.
Love
like
it. They're all good.
It's usually our encore, part of the encore. We usually do Hardwood Floors, and everybody gets riled up for that one.
Yeah, I mean, they're all good stuff. They all are just a good experience.
Yeah. I think they're a lot of fun to listen to, honestly, for like a crowd. Even just not being a part of the music like myself, I feel like anybody, it's very accessible, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, accessible. That's a good way to think about it.
In a unique way, not like a pop kind of way.
Yeah, but it's a good way to listen to it. Now, you have been, I've been seeing on your Instagram, you've been doing pretty well at like, wearing some great outfits. You got some good outfits.
Thanks.
On.
I try to.
What is have you always been someone that like, likes to, look good as far as like the clothes that you're wearing, or is that something that comes with time over you being on stage?
No, I've always just kind of like, I wouldn't say I had like a knack for fashion, but I've always been interested in just like wearing wild shit.
Yeah,
like
you're wearing some paisley color print, paisley print pants that are awesome. Got a Mr. Rogers Neighborhood shirt on. I mean, like,
I love vintage clothing.
You got a good vibe, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I really don't try to like wear anything to like look good. I just like, if it feels cool to me, I'm like, all right,
like to wear what you like to wear,
and it's comfy. Like that's it for me.
I mean, it got to be exciting to be able to go and like have a reason to like wear some good looking clothes.
I love that. Honestly, I love dressing up like a cowboy. It's
fun. Gotta be awesome, dude.
One of my favorite parts of the job.
So I mean, like, you traveling around, like, what are some places that you love to travel that you went to that like
I love the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah,
like Northern California into Oregon and Washington, which we'll be out there next month again. So I'm super stoked about that.
It's an awesome spot up there. We went to beautiful. Seattle and Portland and got to hang around up there and went up Rainier, and like it's super it's unique up there.
Yeah, it really is. It's a whole different world, man.
Are you like you were talking about going down to New Orleans and stuff like that. That's obviously like
that was really cool too.
An area that is like a big music scene.
Oh, massive. Yeah.
Like you have these opportunities to play in these like legendary venues. Like, do you have any couple in your mind that like really were like, insane that you were there?
Yeah, we played like Tipitina's. That was a really cool one because I guess like our tour manager has lived in New Orleans for the past 10 years. He's like helped run Jazz Fest and all kinds of really cool productions down there. So he's learned a lot of the history of the music scene down there. And Tipitina's was one of the first jazz clubs where they ever did a live radio broadcast from. Like,
really?
They cut a hole in the ceiling above the stage and dropped down a microphone, broadcast it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
At least to my knowledge. I think that's
the
story, or at least the Spark Notes version of it.
That's cool, though.
Yeah, so that was a cool one. Kane's Ballroom in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That was like one of the original honky tonks. Bob Wills, who was a big country guy way back in the like 40s, 50s, like early country. He helped pioneer that place. Everybody's played there. Everybody's been through there. It's been like
that's awesome
venue for a lot of really big early country artists.
What was that garage that Ian's got? What was it called? Like Bob's Garage or something? What was that place that was like the bingo hall?
Oh, Billy Bob's.
Billy Bob's
in Fort Worth.
Dude,
yeah, that was a really cool one.
That was of all the pictures you guys post, like that one looked insane.
Yeah, that was wild. Dude, that show was probably my favorite show of the year.
Well, I mean,
that was like, because it was, like you said, it's like a bingo hall, man. It's set up like first of all, this place is huge.
Like, yeah, like how big was it, you said?
Low ceiling. It's got to be like, man, if I had to guess, like 10,000 square foot. Like, it's a big place.
How many people were in there? Do you guys know like how many people?
Yeah, the crowd was, I think, like close to 4,000.
And like what are like the like what's the most you guys play for, and what's the smallest venue you guys play for?
The biggest we've probably done so far is that one. There's a couple ones that have come close to it, like it's like 3,500 people.
Okay, yeah.
We've had one in Denver that was like 3,000, one in Raleigh that was like 3,300. And then I think Billy Bob's was like, it wasn't quite 4,000. It was like 3,500, I think.
Man, that place looked so cool.
It was wild, but it was like set up in a way that it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. Like, they were these like just bar tables, like just, with the black like metal chairs with like the little foam pad, and they were just like these big composite like Formica tables. Like, you'd see it like a bingo hall or something, like he said.
Yeah,
like, it was just the weirdest thing. And it's like this like legit Texas honky tonk place, and then there's a huge bar like behind them with like billiards and darts and all that shit.
Wow.
Like, it was a really cool vibe, like neon signs everywhere. and it was just like a low hanging ceiling. It was just like somewhere you felt like, you know, it was just like, it was real as shit. It was super cool.
Yeah.
And then there was like aisles between the tables. So during Another Leaf, actually, when everybody starts to get riled up, because that's the song we probably go like the hardest for, because we all like run around on stage when we have enough room to do it. And in this particular instance, you know, Al, he's crazy. He's jumping off of everything. He's always finding funny places to play. And we kind of like jokingly talked about it before the show. We were like, hey, let's go out into the crowd, because we all have wireless packs too, so we can kind of go wherever. So we get to that part of the song where we all start to go crazy. We do like the 1, 2, 3, 4 countdown, and then Al just launches off the front of the stage, and it's a high stage too. It's probably like 3.5 foot, 4 foot, like above like the tables and shit.
Wow.
So people were like, the stage was above eye level for most people. So he jumped off of that, and there was like a 3-foot landing for him to land in. And then me and Max, the keyboard player, we're on opposite sides of the stage, and he plays tambourine for that last part.
Yeah.
Where we're all running around going crazy. I have my banjo, so I'm mobile. He's mobile. We look at each other and we're like, let's do it. So we're like not gonna jump off that stage because it's super tall, and I have banjo and shit, and so we kind of run off to the ramp that's on the side of the stage, like where we loaded everything in, which connects to the outer part of the bar. And this place is packed. Like, so the tables are a separate ticket from general admission. General admission is just standing outside of that whole like pit of those tables. And there was probably another 1,000 people outside of there, like outside of the tables.
Jesus.
It was wild. And it was so densely packed. We run over to one gate, it's locked, and there's nobody manning it. So we're like, shit, we're like halfway through this section of the song now. So we're like, people just thought we like left the stage. We weren't even out in the crowd yet. So we go out to the side where it's roped off, and there's like a little attendant there, like staff member from the venue, and we're like, let us out. So he like gets he gets the chain out of the way, and we just take off like booking it through the crowd, and we start running through and go between the tables and shit. And I almost creamed this one dude, man. He was like leaning out trying to take a video of Al, and I was just a bull in a china shop, and I had barely enough time to just kind of slow down before him. It was just a wild one. And then we made it back on stage in time for the end of the song, but we were running laps in that place, man. It was hilarious, just cutting through people and bumping through people, and people would turn around and not know we were out in the crowd and be like, oh, whoa.
Dude, that's awesome.
It was hilarious.
What a story.
It was a scene out of a movie, man. It was fun.
I mean, I guess you probably never thought that you'd be doing something like this a couple years ago.
Not to this extent, man.
Could be welding, brother. Could be welding flanges on pipes.
Yep. Yeah. 3/4-inch wall pipes.
3/4-inch wall pipes, just dragging them up and everything.
Oh man.
I mean, that's awesome. So I mean, obviously, like you're in the band, you're playing. Like, what are your goals?
Honestly, just get better every day and be more proficient in my playing and try to make it interesting.
Yeah.
I like hate being sedentary, like with my playing. Like I always want it to be something new, something different. Like something sounds good. Yeah. Ultimately. So
your set usually, I mean, you play the banjo, you play the steel.
Mm-hmm.
Like what is the majority that you're playing on stage?
A lot of steel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it's a good variety because I play the lap steel too, but I stand up and play it, so it has a strap, and I'm a little bit more mobile with that too.
Oh yeah.
But it's like I was telling you, like the 6-string non-pedal.
So you're playing 3 different instruments throughout the night?
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, that's I mean,
it kind of works out because I've always been a multi-instrumentalist, so it's like
gotta be exciting.
Honestly, yeah, it's fun. It keeps me on my toes. I like that about it a lot.
Is there any times that that like you ever just like completely space out and forget where you're at up there?
Like during a song or like
mid song, just like forget it.
No, I'm usually pretty in the zone.
You lock in?
Yeah. I'd like to think I'm locked in.
Yeah, I like to think I'm locked in. I mean, that's awesome, dude. Like it just sounds like a hell of a time.
Get into a real flow state, man. Like it's super fun, and it's fun too because I've never been like I don't write songs. Like I love like making parts for other people's songs or like adding to somebody else's idea. Not like taking their idea, but just expanding on it and learning other people's music. I've always been that way.
You're not someone that ever writes though?
No, never do. I mean, I write my own way by like just coming up with parts and stuff like that, but it's never like methodical. I'm not like writing out like parts.
Lyrics or anything like that?
No, I don't really have a way with words. That's why I play instruments.
That's awesome. Now banjo. I mean, what was did you play banjo before this, or was that another thing you
Very
acquired?
little. As a kid, I like always loved and like fantasized having a banjo. So when I was like 6 or 7, my dad got me a banjo, and I learned like the Beverly Hillbillies theme.
Oh,
and I
yeah.
learned the whole Deliverance dueling banjos.
Yep.
That's like a staple on the banjo.
That's cool though. I mean, I
didn't play it a lot back then though. I just kind of like tinkered around with it. I never learned how to play with the finger picks because I always thought it felt weird. So I'd either play it with a guitar pick or just like finger pick it with my fingers.
Really?
And then just like set it down. I never like really picked it up again.
Wow.
Until I like started to listen to a lot more folk music and bluegrass, and I was like, man, the banjo is a really cool sound. And then, you know, like Jerry Garcia also played banjo, so I started getting into a lot of his banjo playing. And that like kind of inspired me a lot to pick one up and be like, okay, I'm actually gonna like try to take a stab at this. This is even before all the Charles stuff too.
Yeah.
So I kind of already had the footwork for that established.
That's man.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a lot of potential to a lot of possibilities on what you could play.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for you to, you know, you've talked about how you were like, you know, into the Dead and stuff like that a good bit. How did you get into it? Cousins?
No, nobody in my family is like a Deadhead or like Dead adjacent. Like always like the classic, like the radio hits, Truckin' and Bertha and all that kind of stuff. But it was really my buddy Mitch, who I went to high school with. He was like, hey, we should learn this. It was one of our cover bands. He was into it like probably a year before I was. Actually, funnily enough, through Nate, our bass player, because Nate taught him in high school. He was one of his students.
Ah, okay.
Mitchell was a year ahead of me, and Nate actually student taught because his master's degree is in like teaching.
Yeah.
And he student taught at my school, which
Wow.
my buddy Mitch also went to. And
Small
he started,
world.
Yeah, really small world. Started showing Mitch all the Dead stuff, and then when we had our cover band in those days, he was like, hey, you should learn this song called Fire on the Mountain by the Grateful Dead. And I was always a fan of Fire on the Mountain by Marshall Tucker. So I was like, oh, is this a cover of a Marshall Tucker song? And two completely different songs. But that really opened my eyes up to the Grateful Dead. And I started really, he was like, hey, you should check out all the live stuff. Like, that's where it's really at. Like, the studio stuff is cool and all, but the live stuff is really where it is. And I've always been a fan of live albums and that sort of thing, just because I've always played. So I was like, oh, these people are also doing what I do. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, and and the main reason I even asked you that is I know that you're a big audiophile. I know you have an Instagram that showcases your records and everything like that.
Yeah, I love
that's
that
cool
stuff.
that you do it. I mean, like, so you're actively like looking for new music all the time.
A lot of times, nothing really contemporary though. I honestly don't listen to a lot of like new in the sense of like today.
Yeah, not like new today, but like just
like
weird
finding,
shit.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm big into that. Yeah.
Big into weird shit.
Oh, it's like full time.
So I mean, like, you playing and like just kind of progressing your craft. Like, I mean, what do you do for fun? Besides for all the music stuff, like, what do you enjoy doing?
I like I like researching music stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, like music history and all that kind of stuff.
Are you like someone that watches TV, movies, like
No,
anything
not really.
like
I'm not
that?
a big movie guy, not a big TV guy.
Okay.
Watch a good bit of YouTube here and there, but it's usually music related.
Yeah.
I love like history, stuff like that.
You a reader or anything?
Not really either. No, I've been trying to find more books that I like. I have a hard time with my attention span, just trying to keep it on one thing for that long.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, I could be playing right now.
Yeah. I guess so.
I'm kind of damned in that sense.
Yeah.
It's a blessing and a curse.
So, you're obviously, you're a professional musician. Okay. So you're a professional musician. Do you, I mean, like, is it exciting for you to like, be able to go, get, level up your instruments, like, look at different instruments that you won, get some, I saw you got a new guitar here. A new to you guitar and you strum away with that. I mean, that got to be cool, right?
A lot of bluegrass stuff. Yeah. A lot of acoustic music I've been dialing in on recently, but yeah, I'd hate to say it, but a gear collector. Like, I don't like search out like unique, interesting stuff. It's like stuff that I like to play, but sounds good for me. Cause they're all like, people always look at people having a bunch of guitars and they're like, why do you need that many guitars? Why?
They all serve a different purpose.
They do. Yeah. It's a different tool in the tool bag.
That's cool. Different tool in the tool bag. I mean, like, so we're not done with the podcast. We still got to do the ending segment, but for people that are just listening, like he brought over a whole setup here.
Yeah.
So, that's going to be sick. But now, what is like, do you guys have like what do you guys have in the green room? Like, what's on, do you have what do they call it? Why is it escaping me right now? A rider.
Yeah, we have a rider. We a lot of liquid deaths. We just regular like snack stuff like chips and stuff. But what we bring of our own is an espresso machine.
Oh, yeah?
We've had a lot of fun with.
Yeah, espresso machine.
Yeah, full-blown. It's called a Rocket Espresso Porta Vita, I think is the name of the model. It's built in its own little road case. It's like, has the steamer wand. And
no shit. Yeah. Road case and everything.
It's proper, yeah. If I can find a picture of it, I'll text it to you. So
wow, that's cool.
Maybe show it or something. It's a really cool little setup.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We like source beans from all these different places that we go to, and Charles has a good coffee shop in Morgantown. He always brings us good coffee from Mountaineer Roasters. Little plug.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they make great coffee, and we love the beans, and just always trying to make new stuff with it. Lattes, cortados.
You guys are coffee snobs, huh?
Big time.
Love it.
Big time.
You got to be a coffee snob. That's the best part about going and traveling around places too. Is you get to try all these like random ass coffee spots.
I'm a big foodie too, so like all the restaurants, all that shit, I love it, man.
You guys are out trying to find good food and everything.
Yeah,
man. Who's had some of the best food that you've been to? Any places?
New Orleans, of course. That was great.
I can't wait. We want to go. We want to go for Halloween next year or something.
Yeah, we have like a whole list that we've been compiling of like our Michelin list. Like
I love
places
that.
Get 3 stars, man. There's quite a few good ones. Yeah, we went to Superior Seafood in New Orleans. That was really good.
That's cool.
Trying to think of some other really good places we've been to.
That's cool. You can all get like an opportunity to like go and just like try these different
Always
spots.
trying something new. Yeah.
Now, what was your experience playing on the late night?
That was a really cool setup, honestly. Like, they were a great crew to work with. And,
playing the daytime?
No, we played last. We played at night. We played at like probably around 8 o'clock.
What's that day look like?
So we show up at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, get everything loaded in.
Whose late night show?
That was Stephen Colbert.
Stephen Colbert.
So we bring our stuff that we need. It wasn't like our full rig or anything either, because we were only doing one song. So drummer brought his drums, Charles brought his guitar, Al brought his guitar, and it was very minimal. Like, we had we used some of their equipment, like their microphones and everything. We rented a Steinway upright for
what's that?
Upright piano.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Steinway is like
that's the like name.
The Stradivarius of pianos, basically.
Steinway. Is that what the Strat is? Wait, what's Stradivarius?
Stradivarius, they were like like the most sought after like vintage violins from like the 1800s.
Goodness. So you just rattled that off. Like, I know that stuff. Stradivarius. That's like a Stradivarius violin.
I feel like that's a name. It's like Steinway's a huge name in pianos. They're like the golden standard, basically.
So what did you play on there?
We played, what song?
Yeah, what play?
We did Family Ties.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I played banjo for that. So I just had my banjo and a DI box similar to this, not quite like a mixer, but it's like, got the XLR out and all that stuff. It's on my board. I'll be able to show you it, but just brought that, and we used all their cables and all their mics and stuff. And then once we got set up, we kind of went back, got some breakfast, got some coffee, went to Russ and Daughters in New York, which is like the best bagel spot. I loved it.
Oh, wow.
It was great. So we did all that, went around the city for a minute, kind of came back, and then we started to do, there's like a not quite like a dress rehearsal. It was more of like a line check, sort of make sure everything's working. We got I think a half hour to just kind of run through the song to get us ready for the camera rehearsals, which that's where they dial in all of their shots and like the directors figure out what they're going to do for
so ahead of time like what cameras are going to be where. Oh, that's cool.
I mean, we don't really know.
Yeah, but like
really paying attention to that, but
gives you an idea of what's going on.
Yeah, they figure out like all the big boom cameras, they like sweep in, you can see them like trying to find their shots and everything.
Oh, that's cool.
There's a guy that comes out and like Steven isn't there all day. He only comes out for the taping, but there's a guy in place of him that's like reading his lines to just kind of get the momentum of the show, like, so you can feel that out.
Yeah.
And then we come back for a dress rehearsal. Like, everybody gets dressed up and everything, and you come out and do that one more like final, just like make sure everything's good before we go, and then you kind of just hang out until it's your turn.
Awesome.
So we had 2 guests that night. It was Keanu Reeves, and then
no shit.
Yeah, Keanu was there. It was really cool.
Did you get to meet him?
Unfortunately not. We were like this close. One of the interns or something came up, and they were like, "Hey, Keanu's about to come off. If you guys," because we were next right after his segment. It's like, if you guys want to just like pass by him and say, "Hey, what's up, man? I love your work."
Fucking
like,
Keanu.
You can come down with us now, and we'll kind of get you set up for that. And we did, and it just ended up that he booked it out of there, man. Because there was like,
I don't blame him,
paparazzi and shit, like all that crazy
dude.
stuff.
It got to be insane.
It was wild. Yeah, I mean, like New York City, we were on Broadway,
insane.
like in Times Square, basically. That's where the Ed Sullivan Theater is. So.
I mean, it does. It got to be insane.
Oh,
did you guys meet Colbert?
Yeah,
That's
he was
cool.
real briefly before we did.
Yeah.
Before we did the taping and everything, came out, shook everybody's hand.
That's cool. I was on the first late night, not the late night show that Jimmy Fallon has, but the one that he did before that. It was just called Late Night with Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
I think it was separate, but we were on the first showing of that. Me and my buddy were in New York in 2009. The guest was Robert De Niro, Justin Timberlake, and Van Morrison.
No shit.
So I got
That's cool.
Justin Timberlake came over and I got to shake his hand and everything like that. It was cool.
Were you just there to view the taping? Or?
Yeah, we got tickets, and
cool.
Whenever they were placing us down there, because you sign up for them tickets and they'll tell you if you get them. We were like last in line, so we were like, oh, we're gonna be screwed. And there were 2 handicap seats in the front, and I just asked this lady, I was like, hey, can we get them handicap seats? There's no one else coming in. So we ended up getting seated front row.
How about that?
I had a Winter Classic Penguin jersey on that you could see in the TV. So that was a cool time. But the music, I remember the music was so wild to see all that was, because I think it was whenever the Roots were still there. I think the Roots,
nice.
he was still playing with the Roots. But yeah, wild time. The whole idea of anything done on television is wild to me, because it got to be so regimented and everything.
Yeah, the schedule is very tight. Like they run a real tight ship. There's really no room for error or just redoing something. Like we had one take to get that song done.
Yeah.
But what's crazy in the same sense is that when they film their bits and everything, like Steven does his monologue, they run everything 10 minutes longer than what you actually see.
And cut it up what they need to.
They chop it up. And it looks seamless. It's crazy how they do it. It seems like it's just one thing. But he runs a lot of different stuff. And
movie magic.
Yeah. And a lot of it lands too. He's a funny guy. I mean, I don't watch any TV, like I said. I don't watch late night shows or anything like that. But he seemed like the more realistic representation of the person that he is on that set.
That's exciting though. What do what's your family think about all this? What you're doing?
Everybody was stoked.
Yeah, I bet.
Everybody was kind of on their toes about it at first. When I started selling T-shirts and everything, they're like, "Why are you throwing away a good job? You obviously you have a knack for it, but why would you?" It's the security thing.
Yeah, security.
Yeah, and they were so happy to see me start to establish a career with welding and everything like that, and they bought me a welding machine, everything. I was set up, man. And to be honest, I did kind of just throw it away immediately without even thinking about it. But they over time, shows started getting bigger. I started meeting more people. I started to really be passionate about it. It wasn't just about selling T-shirts for me. It was about making connections with people. It was about networking. It was about traveling. That became bigger than the whole merchandise thing for me, at least.
Yeah.
And I think my family noticed that, and they saw how much fun I was actually having with it and how well I was doing. Just being able to manage a
dude 18 years old on the road with one of these fucking bands, just living the dream.
Yeah, learning how to manage a merchandise operation, ordering, taking inventory, corresponding with our warehouse.
Oh, so you were involved with a lot of that, planning out. Were you doing
not at first? But kind of worked my way into that.
But you got to that point where you were doing are
absolutely.
you ordering the shirts and everything too?
Yeah, as I would run out of them, I'd put together orders.
Wow,
and send it off.
That got to be fascinating too.
Yeah, that was a lot to learn, because I'm not really a numbers guy either. So that was a real big hurdle to get over.
That is super, super funny.
Nowadays my they're all super stoked, man. When we
gotta be right.
We play Stage AE here in a few weeks, so it's gonna be.
I can't wait. September 13th, Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th.
I'll be there with bells on.
Hell yeah.
I was waiting at work to get tickets for that, because honestly, dude, and I'm not even saying it. The Charles performance at Healing Appalachia was and Tyler headlined that the next day, but
I wish we were there on his day.
Dude, the Charles performance was one of the most incredible live performances I've ever seen. It's just a vibe, dude. You guys got a vibe up there for sure.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it too. It's interesting. It's not and I'm not a big country guy either. So I've never really been exposed to this stuff as much as I have been in the last 2 years.
Yeah, you're listening to Frank Zappa and shit. I see all that.
I just went to see Dweezil.
I saw that.
Incredible.
I bet it was. You said it was 3 hours long.
Yeah, nonstop.
That's insane.
They were nuts, man.
Yeah, that level of musician is they get lost. Yeah, they're locking in and getting lost.
But it's so precise. But yeah,
that's cool though.
Stuff I've always loved adjacently. I love Southern rock. I grew up on Marshall Tucker and the Allman Brothers, Blackberry Smoke, all that sort of stuff. So real adjacent. but I never listened to like you were saying, like Tim McGraw or Jason Aldean, that kind of stuff.
And that's like, I mean,
respected it from afar. It just was never really my thing.
That's understandable.
Yeah. But now that I'm listening to that kind of stuff more, going back to that, like listening to all those steel players who were like just playing their asses off, man, like the best parts ever. The songs are whatever they are, but
they're getting down
there. The musicianship is incredible.
It's I mean, I'm sure like going across the country and like doing all this, you have an opportunity to be exposed to a lot of new music as
Absolutely,
well.
Yeah.
New music, new artists.
Just our openers that we've had with us for the last 3 years on our headliners have opened my eyes to a lot of really cool stuff. Like we played with this dude Cole Chaney, who's from Lexington, Kentucky.
Okay, yeah,
he's fantastic. Has the best band, like the greatest songs. Like it's amazing, and he's working his way up. Like guys like him, Nolan Taylor. It's all that same.
I like Nolan's music.
Yeah, Nolan's awesome.
I saw that Charles say something. He was like, Wyatt opened for me one time, and now he's taking over the world.
We opened for him at the Ryman, man. It's crazy.
Dude.
Well, no, he opened for us at the Ryman. I'm sorry.
Either way, dude.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, it's cool though.
He's playing bigger shows than we are now, man.
Well, you guys like seem to like it just seems to be like oftentimes the comedians talk about like the class they come up with, like Ari and all them, they all came up with like, Joey Diaz and Red Band, all these guys. You guys seem to like have a certain class that
we definitely do.
Everyone's like coming up together with, and it seems awesome. Yeah.
It's been really cool to watch everybody grow together, man. It's awesome. It's just such a great community.
I mean, September 13th, it's going to be crazy. I feel. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah,
I mean, this
too.
is your first like hometown show.
Yeah, playing. Like I worked Stage AE last year and the year before.
But like for you to be on stage up there playing, I mean,
it'll be the first like real hometown show since I've been out with these guys.
Hell yeah! Are you going to be? And the next day is the backyard brawl.
Yeah.
You guys going to be on the road?
No, we're going to be at the game.
Oh, you're going to be at the game.
Yeah.
Hell yeah!
It'll be fun,
dude. That's going to be sick. Yeah. I mean. It just got to be fun, You're just having a fun time right now.
It's hard to conceptualize how much fun we're having. Like it's so good. Like it's such a good group of guys. There's like really no like internal struggles or anything like that. Like everybody has their moments. We're humans, but like we all get along good. We all like have the same sense of humor. We're all thankful for the next day.
Oh yeah.
Like just happy to wake up and get to have fun.
Love that.
Do what we love, man.
So I mean, right now, it's August 25th right now. You said you had a little downtime right now.
Yeah, now, we got most of the month off. Most of the month of September off.
Now, what's like the next clip looking like?
We have like 4 at the end of this month. I forget where.
One of them, does it start off here?
Well, we have Stage AE, and then we have like another 10 days off after that before we do our next like actual
nice
run. So we do like 4 shows at the end of September, and then come back for most of October, and then we start the Pacific Northwest run. We're doing Bend, Oregon. We're doing Seattle. We're doing Vancouver, and I think there's one more in there that I'm forgetting about. Oh, we start in Sacramento. Sorry,
that's awesome.
So we work from California up.
Wow.
So that's gonna be a blast, and then probably only another like 6 or 7 to end out the year.
That's awesome, dude.
We're done. I think like 2 weeks before Thanksgiving or the week before.
And how much time do you get off?
Basically from like Thanksgiving to next March.
Wow.
Maybe like 1 or 2 in between.
Yeah,
but like weekend stuff.
That's incredible. It got to be a much deserved and well needed rest.
Big time.
I mean, so life on the road. I mean, like talk to me as far as like is it tough on your body?
It can be at times.
Yeah. Like do you like what do you do as far as like trying to keep your physical at the top notch?
Well, or at least right now for me, I'm young and supple, so I have a good metabolism.
Young and supple.
I eat well too, so that's a big part of it. But I'm not like working out or anything like that. Like I like to rock climb. If there's a gym around, I'll go to a rock.
You're not getting in morning miles?
No, not that guy, man. I'm not, and I don't pretend to be that guy.
I ain't running 3.5 in the morning.
I like watching them, but that's about it.
That's cool though. That's
Chuck and Al can have that.
Yeah, that's I mean that's awesome.
Just try to eat well and be conscious of what I'm doing. Drink a lot of water and just try to take care of my body that way as much as I can.
Hell yeah. Now, I mean, as a young guy, are you conscious of like, the nightlife on the road as far as like, drinking and everything?
Oh, certainly. Yeah. Like, I don't really like to drink. Like I'll have like a beer before the show or something like that. But other than that, we're not like a party crew either.
Yeah,
like, these guys are like mid-20s, early 30s,
family, couple
married.
kids and everything. Yeah,
we're not about that.
That's good. That's
what
good.
I love about it too. It's sustainable, which is the best part.
Yeah, because I feel like that's like the other end of the coin with a lot of like traveling musicians is you got to deal with that end of it all. I've never been a drinker, so
some people go real hard, man, and to get up and do that every day for months, years at a time.
I was just staying up late just at the lake house just this weekend, and we weren't even doing nothing. We were just staying up late.
Burning the midnight
and
oil,
I'm just like, I wake up and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, you feel like you're hungover.
I was sleeping in a bed and everything too, and I'm like, God damn, I'm all tight and everything. Yeah, I mean, you just wait. You'll get there.
Oh, yeah.
You'll get
it's
there.
coming fast. I can tell you that much.
Okay, so, all right, let's get to the ending segment that I do with everyone. All right, I do an ending segment with everyone. It's called Desert Island Questions.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so desert island questions. Whenever I give each guest 3 categories to take with them on a desert island and use until they starve to death and die. First category is movies. What would your 3 movies be? Now that I know that you're not a movie guy, do you have 3 that you would rattle off?
Yeah, My Cousin Vinny, School Rock. Third one, shit.
Those first 2 are good.
So, I know. I'm trying to scan my database.
That's all right.
Grown Ups.
That's good too.
Yeah.
My Cousin Vinny, though, man, slept on.
Best. Yeah.
Okay, so second category. I usually ask people 3 books, but I'm going to ask you something 3 different. I want to know your favorite place that you guys went as far as location, your favorite venue that you played at, and the person that you met on the road that starstruck you the most, if that's possible.
Yeah. Probably my favorite venue and favorite place we've been to is Del Mar, California. It's just outside of San Diego.
Del
place
Mar.
called Belly Up.
Belly Up.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's a just a small like tavern style venue. It maybe holds like 800. We did 2 nights there.
Awesome.
It was just a really cool area. Really cool little like sleepy beach town. Cool scene. Like they have everybody comes through there though. They have like all kinds of bands that come through there.
That's awesome.
That was great. And dude, I got to meet Billy Strings, who's
one
of my guitar idols. Very briefly. I didn't like.
Yeah, that's still cool
hang
though.
with him, but yeah, it was awesome.
Man, what a ripper!
Buckeye Country Music Fest. Yeah.
Where was that at?
In Buckeye Stadium.
Oh yeah, I guess yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's,
yeah, it was. I think it was us, Charlie Crockett, Turnpike Troubadours, Billy, and then Zach.
Yeah, when was that?
That was a little over a month ago, month and a half.
Okay, yeah. Are those festivals wild?
Yeah, pretty crazy. That wasn't a festival in the sense of like outdoors being like vendors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was 2 days, but
like a music fest like that, like
yeah. I mean, technically it was a festival because of the bill, but like it was all self-contained in Ohio Stadium, so it was just like a really really big concert.
That's
basically.
awesome.
Yeah, that was cool.
That's cool, dude.
But yeah, the festivals are awesome. The festival circuit that we've done this year has been like super plentiful and super fun. Like great quality of festivals.
That's cool. All right. What about okay, third category, 3 CDs. You got 3 that you could pick?
Yeah, give me a minute because I have so many that I like my Rolodex of albums. I have a lot of favorites right now, but I'm trying to think of like all time.
Yeah, of like what you would play over and over again. Like
definitely Asia, Steely Dan.
There you go.
I would definitely bring probably Tony Rice's Manzanita album. That's bluegrass. And
one greatest hits album.
Greatest Eagles. Greatest
Eagles.
Hits. Yeah. Big time. Sing along to those all night long.
This guy that I just talked to, he is, he runs Piper's Pub, the Kitchen. You familiar with that place?
I think I've been there once or twice.
It's down in the South Side.
Yeah.
It's like a soccer style pub. But he was talking about, I was asking him about the menu down there. Okay. And he was like, yeah, we used to have a shitload of a big menu. But he was like, now, I like to equate it to the Eagles. He was like, who has just an Eagles album? No one. Everyone just has an Eagles greatest hits album.
Yeah.
He was like, so the menu is filled with all greatest hits style. It's an Eagles menu.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, that's a great analogy because I don't think I own an Eagles, just one of their albums,
really?
but I own one of their greatest hits album for sure.
Yeah. Who doesn't? Yeah.
Who doesn't, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Check out the album On the Border though. That's
On the Border.
Yeah.
What where
it's like 74. I'm trying to think what tunes are on it.
You're a big audiophile, huh?
Kind of. I don't
How
like
big's your record collection? Too big.
Dude, I probably haven't even listened to like 25% of it. I like to collect and at like just one day have a random thought, just be like, Oh, I forgot I even have this album. Let me check it out.
Is that what you like to spend your money on the road? Go and grab some records?
Go to a lot
places?
of record stores. I've been really slowing down because, like I said, I have way too many I haven't even listened to yet.
That's how I am with like books.
Yeah.
I'm just like buying all sorts of books, and I'm like,
it's a lot easier to buy them faster than you can listen to them. So.
Absolutely. It's like, this is going to take me a month, and I just bought 5 of them.
No, I like to splurge on clothes a little bit here and there, like vintage stuff. We go to like Fleas and
hell yeah,
and vintage stores, stuff like that.
You ever go to Trader Jack's?
Trader Jack's, no. Huh?
I should have told you to pop down early because there's a pretty good flea market right around here.
Really?
Yeah. Depending on what time we get out of here, you probably pop over there. It's pretty decently big, and people got a lot of shit there. You ever been to Rogers in Ohio?
Yeah, that's my.
That's the first one that I just went there for the first time, like a month ago.
Oh, awesome!
First time, and I was
Rogers is a gold mine, man. It's just such a cool, so fun to people watch there too. It's the best.
Absolutely, that'll be good. I want to go up there with a camera and microphone and interview a bunch of vendors up there.
Totally should,
dude. Amazing.
That's like 15 minutes away from where I'm at. Well, probably more like 20.
Yeah, that's not too bad though.
No,
one of these Fridays, we're gonna have to hit that up there when you're in the.
Please
let
me know. I would love to.
Okay, so the third to last question that I ask everyone is the death row meal. So if you're getting ready to get put to death, you get an appetizer, a main course, and a dessert. What would it be?
Appetizer, I'd probably go with, oh man, shishito peppers.
Really?
Yeah, love shishito peppers.
Wow.
Grilled, flame roasted. I love that.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Main course. There's this place called Sal's in Chippewa. It's like old style Italian, real good, old world, like original recipes. They have, it's called Cajun chicken and sausage. It's like fettuccine with like a cream sauce, but it's like red and white sauce mixed together, and then they have Cajun seasoning and fresh Parmesan on top. Real good hot Italian sausage. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to try that.
Put you on game. That shit is fire.
Wow,
it is amazing.
Sal's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're ever in the Chippewa area, definitely check that out. It's a staple. Yeah, that's definitely the meal. Dessert. Probably some kind of ice cream. Honestly.
Ice cream guy.
Yeah, big ice cream guy.
Hell yeah.
Cookies and cream, something like that.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Would I mean, like, are you like someone that is? Yeah, you said you were a foodie. So, like, on the road, I mean, like, do you guys, like, cook on the tour bus? Or are you like trying to find...
No, there really isn't a lot of that. Like, we have, like deli meat and cheese, that kind of sandwiches,
I guess so. But you
bagels.
are out trying to find some good food.
Yeah, we're always out finding food.
That's good. That's got to be the coolest part is, like, getting to experience the different food and everything. Mm-hmm. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I love that about it.
Now, I'm curious, what's the best concert you've ever been to?
I was just trying to think about that the other day. Because one of those Instagram story things came up. It was like all kinds of questions about like concerts. Who do you wish you would have seen? What's the best concert you've been to? That sort of thing. Man, every Billy Strings show that I've seen has just floored me. Like, it just knocked my socks off, man. That's great.
As a player, I'm sure that it's like a whole different world to see that.
It's hard to go to shows and not think about, like, as a musician, it's hard to go to shows and not, like, kind of in a sense feel like you're at work, but like you're like listening super intently to everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Like, you're not there to just like a lot of times vibe out and just like not think about what's being played as opposed to I don't know, just like going there to like hang out.
Yeah. That's a good answer. I mean, that's a good pick.
I loved Billy. I really loved I saw America when I was a kid. That was great.
Wow.
Like the band America.
Yeah.
But they did it as like an acoustic duo. Which, you know, they didn't really have like a full band anyhow. Dude, I could rattle off like that.
Yeah, you're a big show guy, huh?
Yeah, I love going to live music. Michaela Davis and Southern Star. That's another one that I love.
Who's this?
Michaela Davis and Southern Star.
Oh,
They're a band from Rochester, New York. She's a harp player, like upright harp.
Oh, wow.
They have harp, pedal steel, great pedal steel player. His name's Kurt Johnson. Drummer who looks, sounds, and plays just like Robbie Robertson from
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's great. He's got like the mic off the side and everything, and
I never heard of them. I'll have to check them out.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Okay.
They're more like kind of like psychedelic indie stuff. Like I wouldn't say like Dead adjacent because they definitely jam. They do a lot of Dead songs too, but their original sound is a lot more unique.
Okay, that's good. Good answers.
Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, if you are, getting ready, you're going on the road, you go into a gas station, grab a snack. What's your snack of choice?
Nerds gummy clusters, man.
I know. I'm on them recently.
Yeah.
They're fucking tough, dude.
Only the little bags, though. I can't do that. Those big bags.
Yeah, them big bags, because they're scary. You could just take a couple handfuls and you're like,
not stop.
I literally have just eaten 150 milligrams or 150 grams of sugar, and you're like, I'm gonna die.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's easy to go into sugar coma with those.
That's good stuff.
Like mainline.
Those are good choice. I would always see people posting about them, but I recently bought one and I was like, man, my barber actually was like, the gummy clusters. I think he picked them as well.
Nice.
And he was like, don't eat them, dude. You'll get your hooks in them.
Slope.
I know, it's tough. Okay. Last question. If you could have a conversation with anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why?
That's a good one. I wasn't ready for that. I'd say, trying to think of someone who's not a musician, because I feel like that's been every answer I've given so far.
I mean, that's all right though. This is where it's like there's a lot of like freedom to think about it. Like, I mean, I've interviewed so many people and everyone's answers always really surprise me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
I would love to sit down and have like a full blown conversation with Theo, not like interview style. Like,
yeah,
I just feel like just to like shoot the shit with him. That would be very fun.
100%.
I was trying to like think of somebody historic, but like trying to be real with myself. I'd love to sit down and talk to Theo Vaughn.
Yeah, it would be a great conversation. Like I
just like want to laugh. Like I just want.
He just seems like a fun guy to be around.
Yeah, absolutely, super bubbly, but also like kind of stoic in his own weird way.
Absolutely, I really like value his conversation that he always has about like mental health and everything and how he like deals with it all. And
and he says it all in such like a real way too, with like humor like sprinkled in, but
authentic,
it's still super serious, and
you could tell that he's like really like he's
passionate about it.
Yeah, and he's like
helping others, being
vulnerable. Like he like wears it on his sleeve, and like, I really appreciate that as far as like a listener and a fan of people like that, because he makes himself more human.
Yes.
To everyone else.
He absolutely does.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, what a fantastic conversation.
Bro, I felt like I just like rambled the whole time.
You think that?
None of it made any sense.
Oh my God.
Listen back, we'll see.
I mean, everyone, to be fair, everyone who comes on here, whenever we're done recording, everyone's like, how was that? And I'm like, dude, that was like everything I could have wanted.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
I could assure you that this was a fantastic conversation.
Hell yeah. I just don't want to sound like a runaway train.
No. But I think that, that's kind of what I lean into with this podcast.
That's real conversation, though.
Everyone's is usually like, if you look at like one of those podcasts, everyone's is right around an hour.
Yeah,
okay?
right.
We're an hour and 45 minutes.
Oh, shit.
And like
we are.
That's like I want it to be like that, dude.
Yeah,
you gotta be able to have the freedom to go where the conversation needs to go. But I truly can't thank you enough for coming over and talking to me on this downtime.
Man. Really, thank you.
Can't wait to see you play on the 13th. It's gonna be insane. It's gonna be a hell of a time. I'm very excited about that.
It's gonna be a rager, man.
Now tell everyone where they could follow you on social media, where they could find check your stuff out.
Yeah, it's just my name on Instagram. It's Amico Demuzio. That's it. I have a TikTok that I don't really use. I just post videos from time to time.
Why don't you use it?
Clips from tour. I don't know. I just don't think about it as much.
I know. Does the social media end of it all ever come into your mind? Obviously, you just said it doesn't.
I mean, I feel like I can regulate it like pretty well. I'm not like, it's not a time suck for me a lot of times.
Yeah.
Like I mean, everybody's human. I have my fair share of time where I'm sitting on Instagram just doom scrolling for an hour. But like, I have a lot of other stuff to do. I feel like you could set up a little camera on you, one of them Instax 360 cameras during a show, and make a clip every single show to put on TikTok. I would love to do that,
bro. You'd probably blow up.
I used to do something like that a lot. Like I would just like every time I was home or before I even started touring, I would just like make videos, just like covering songs and filming all the different angles and putting pieces together. And like really
I saw that one that you stitched together. You're playing the drums. You're playing everything.
I've done a good handful of them, and I had a lot of fun with them, and they got like decent reception. That, and it's just like I don't do it to be seen. Like I just like to do it to like create it, and then I get it out. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that's just it. If people like it, they like it. If they don't, if nobody sees it, I don't care. I just like made it to
Everyone likes it.
scratch that itch.
I
That's
just
all
saw
it
your.
is.
I just
Just
found your
created it.
TikTok and I followed it along and
Yeah?
I'm looking at all your
Oh,
videos.
hell yeah, man.
I don't know, dude. I get where I spend most of my time is like, you know, things like that. I'll watch people play banjos forever, and it's wild. I watch a lot of musicians on TikTok, a lot of people that sing, and then you know it'll be people how to make hot pepper or how to
Yeah.
make hot sauce and everything.
Right.
But yeah, age of social media, it's a blessing and a curse.
It truly is, yeah. But if you know how to use it for good, then use it for good.
By all means.
Yeah.
Everyone else that's listening, I appreciate yins as usual. Each and every week, we're back with another great guest doing great things in the city. Thank yins for listening. Call you right back.